Welcome back to the next episode of the Black and Gold podcast in association with An Athletic Football Club. Thanks again for joining us as we continue our journey on the Black and Gold podcast. This week we'll bring you another insight to a fascinating career of our guest and all their features along the way. Keep sharing and following all our stuff on Instagram, Facebook, and also keep subscribing to our Black and Gold podcast. Right, here we go, Pedro. We're back in it. We're here again.
Yep.
Ready to go?
Yep. Ready to rock.
Ready to rock?
Looking forward to this one. I am.
You're all refreshed from your holiday. We spoke about that on the review show.
Cammy.
I guess you know well as well.
I guess we both know well.
Yeah.
Annan knows well.
Annan knows well.
Two good lads in Cammy.
A well-kent face.
A well-kent face.
Yeah.
A well-kent face. So Andy, put a hat on or something.
Is that
fucking glare off that bonnet.
Amazing.
I buffed it this morning special.
No, it should be a good one, no? Looking forward to it.
Yes, aye. Let's get tore into about him, Cammy.
Let's get right
Let's
in it.
get tore in about him.
So, I would like to introduce to our guest to the podcast, born and bred in Annan. 222. Born and bred in Annan. Played over 300 games for Queen of the South. The enemy.
Aye.
The enemy. And now part of Annan's backroom staff. Welcome to the Black and Gold podcast, Andy Aitken.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having us.
There's your round of applause. He's kept
Spotify listener.
kept it quiet today. Andy, great to have you in the Black and Gold podcast. Have you managed to catch much of our action so far?
I have caught every minute. Every minute I've catched every second of what you've produced so far, lads. It's been amazing.
Enjoyed
and fair
it?
Credit to the pair of yous, absolutely.
Yeah.
Enjoyed every minute. Even listening to some of the stuff that Jardy was talking about, Aaron Muirhead's talked about. Obviously comes back to our own time at Annan as well, Pete, and it's good times. Good to hear from them boys again. So yeah,
Tells it a wee different angle of what the club's about, isn't it? Or nice for the fans to see, or viewers, listeners to know what goes on. And
absolutely, and it's probably one of those things as players or as coaching staff, you never think about really what the fans want to know or what they're thinking or what their knowledge of football is. So it gives them a better insight in terms of what we know, what we talk about, what the history of the club is and our own history.
And we're in a sort of privileged position that, again, we've all played the game, whereas there's people out there that haven't played the game, so it's an insight to what players feel, what goes on in the dressing rooms, all these sort of things that people want to hear about, but they don't. Like, we take that for granted a little bit, that we know that that's the carry on that goes in the change room, that's the way you feel going on to a pitch and all this stuff. But
no, absolutely, and for me I think you can probably relate it back to people in their own workplace. There's similarities, there absolutely is, and it's some people you get on with in football, some people you don't, and it's no different to other places of work. You know what I mean? So it gives a good insight that there is similarities there between the normal workplace and football, but ultimately gives a more insight into what really goes on in the changing room.
We've got a fan here, Peter.
I love it,
great
boys.
to hear, isn't it?
It is like we found him. We finally found the one.
Aye. No, great. So let's get started, Andy. You started your youth career, obviously you're from Annan, so you started your youth career at Annan. Natural sort of progression that you would just end up at Annan Athletic.
Actually, from Dumfries
Are you?
originally.
Born in
Stop.
Dumfries?
Stop.
Born in Dumfries, lived in
Cammy,
Dumfries.
how do we stop this? Abort.
Went to school.
Went
to school. Went to school at Laurie now for the first couple of years.
Sorry, Andy.
Used to walk past.
Lift your sleeve up a wee second. There's no needle marks. It's strange.
Aye.
And when did you move to Annan then?
So it was one of those. Dad worked for the railway,
Right.
and then we moved through to Annan 1984,
I
1985.
bet you've got brothers at every stop. Dumfries, Annan, Carlisle.
So that's why we moved through. Dad had got a job at Adon Signal Box, and then that's why we moved through originally.
Ah.
So,
At what age?
6 or 7, so P2, P3.
Right.
So as I say,
You're
just
pretty much born and bred in Annan.
let's be honest, spent the majority here.
Yes.
Bread.
Bread.
We'll take that. No,
Raised.
Yeah, absolutely. But you used to walk past the Hallowed Turf of Palmerston every day to go to school.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, well. That
Aye.
was your inspiration. Inspiration.
Walking past that coo shed.
But so you started your youth career at Annan. What
Yeah.
sort of age were you playing with Annan?
Yeah, under 12s
Right.
in that age group. So coaching staff there was probably, at that age, Jim Armstrong. Fred Smith.
Oh, right.
Freddie,
Fred.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Fred was involved. Jimmy Bell was involved at that
Yep.
time as well. So yeah, started under 12s playing at the school, and that's how it started. For me.
Newington School. What school did you go to?
St Columbus.
St.
We went
Columbus,
to,
sorry,
simply
yeah.
because it was just around the corner. Cammy will know because Cammy's from up that neck of the woods as well.
Yep. Originally.
Yeah, originally.
I know. So any boys that kind of went on round about your age group?
At
At
the
Annan?
not at that early age, obviously came through with Stephen Toll, Craig Irvin Wiggy.
Yep.
So we came through that system together, and yeah.
Interesting.
Very, I think so. 12s, 14s,
16s,
16s.
and at that point, 18s, and then playing with the South as well.
Your dream came true
Yeah,
of
played.
going to Queen of South.
So you played South of Scotland football with Annan?
Yeah. So came all the way through that youth system to the 18s, and at the 18s it would have been Gordon Hislop.
Right.
And then Freddie was involved at that stage, but it was one of those there.
And
where you'd-
Thingaby. Is he in it? Thingaby's sister. Ken Mindy's sister.
Do we related to him?
his uncle.
No, is he? No. You're right. No, is he?
I know, yeah. Did you used to play out at
Chapel Cross.
Aye.
We
Yes,
did.
I can mind watching games out
Yeah,
there.
so under 18s played out on the aerodrome at Chapel Cross.
And did you possibly play at Newby as well?
On
the pitch
So the
up there?
Kyrex pitch.
Aye.
Kyrex, we didn't play there. I think other age groups
Right,
at that time
right.
did, but we didn't. We had the aerodrome,
It was
and
nice.
it was it was very open in the winter.
I could imagine.
Oh, aye.
Yeah. And then you got your move to Queen's.
Well, wait a second. Sorry, South League.
South.
Who was the manager at the South when you were there?
South would have been Barry Johnston, Dumfries.
Right.
Yeah, God
who-
rest his soul.
Who was about then in the team?
In that team, so just try to think.
Because I can remember you always talking about Scotty and Sibs and that. If something happened, Big Foxy, I think, was Foxy still
Yeah,
there?
Foxy wasn't involved then,
Finished.
but like when I played, so I played in the back four with Big Bibber, Scotty, Tony Sibrin. So I was pretty well
Looked
looked
after.
after. Michael Downey, remember the teacher?
Aye,
Ryan
aye.
Downey? He played. Paul Sibrin, good on lad. Who else? Obviously, Wigged came through at that stage as well. He was involved in the South. Bryson, Stevie Bryson, Andy Pratt. So yeah,
Aye,
good times.
good.
That's, at that time, you were playing for the school in the morning. Depending where the South were playing, you'd play for the South in the afternoon, and then go and play for the 18s on a Sunday.
And then
So-
the progression from the South would have been to the East team.
Yeah, made my debut away to Whitehill Welfare. Scored one of the greatest own goals you've probably ever seen. That is one thing I'll say. I have scored 3 or 4 absolutely cracking own goals in my time, lads. Honestly, diving header, 25 yards, top line.
That's
Yeah.
what you done.
On my debut.
On your debut?
On debut, away to Whitehill. Aye. Yeah,
What a start.
what a start! I couldn't even tell you if we won.
When did Annan sell you to Queen's?
I don't think
Straight
it's-
after that. We'll take a couple of hours back.
tracksuit and a couple of miters.
So how did the Queen's move come about?
To be all honesty, I have got no clue.
Right.
I'd obviously started playing in the East, and we had, obviously Freddie Fry was the manager.
Yep.
He probably had a relationship with Shanksy, they were taking over in the summer. We had went up to the Ayr tournament, Roselle,
Aye.
Aye. Yep.
with that under 18 team, and we'd got to the final, got beat off Ayr United in the final, and on the road back down, Rowan was on the bus. So all the boys are obviously thinking, he's going to speak to somebody, he's looking at somebody. Cam sat beside me, and I was like, oh, so he's like, interested in signing you? Would you be interested? Absolutely. Who wouldn't be? It was full time at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, a couple of weeks later, there was a day, it was like one Saturday in May, we were all trapped up at Palmerston, and there was like, the little media room that you go on the left hand side. There was 12 of us, but all the parents were there, and it was just one at a time you were just taking in. This is what we're offering you when you go.
Nice.
Nice. That'd be-
Yeah.
You take
So-
your mum and dad in with you?
Just my dad.
Take your
Dad
dad.
came. Yep. And it was one of those. Dad hadn't played football, hadn't much of a clue. Like, what are you offering? And it was like YTS, so 70 quid a week. And he goes, aye, that's fine. Obviously, he would do it for nothing if you wanted, but you obviously need something. So that's how we started. And by that point, there was that 12. The full time of us was some really good boys in that 12.
Be a good group then.
It
Was
was a really
the
good
first team full time at that point?
No,
or
they were
just
part-time, so we had, that was probably the first time we'd seen that kind of hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
There was full-time boys. There was 12 of us that pretty much trained every day, and then we trained 2 nights a week at Palmerston as well.
All right.
Can you mind the 12?
I wouldn't be able to tell you the whole 12, but Davy Matheson, Jamie McAllister, Craig Allen, Stephen Pettit,
Drugsy.
Craig Irvin, Drugsy, yeah. Stevie Pettit, who came Annan,
Aye.
Wiggy, boy Jeff McLean, who was a Canadian lad,
Right.
who'd been I think he was at Bolton. He had came up. James McLeod from Stranraer. He'd been down at Bolton. He'd came back up. So yeah.
Nice.
And then there was And that was the second year, like so Dennis Boyle, Jeff Patterson, they got involved as well.
So good times. That would be
really good
an
times.
Interesting changing room to
Absolutely.
be involved in.
Just.
Did you enjoy training every day? Did you enjoy the full-time element of it?
Certainly at that time I did, because it was something new for me, and it was like obviously exciting because you were playing football. Don't get wrong, you were doing probably the good old YTS where you'd done the jobs. We all had our responsibilities around the club, and if that was on a Monday, then it would be clean the stadium after a home game. I was responsible for the coaching staff's kit and obviously looking after the dugouts. So a quick story about the dugouts. So I'd got a bucket of water from the groundsman Kev, thinking it was just water. Give the wee AstroTurf a quick brush, threw the water onto the pitch thinking it would help the pitch. Of course I had bleach in it, burnt all the grass.
Amazing.
Kev absolutely raging. Had to cut just before the season started, had to cut out an area of the pitch and replace
and
it.
Returf it?
And returf it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Aye.
Thought I was doing the right thing.
Classic. You managed to get your debut when you were very young. 18th of January 1997 was your debut away to Stranraer.
Away to Stranraer, and didn't have a clue until about 2:05.
Seriously?
Yeah, didn't have a clue.
Were you travelling with the squad at that point, or was it just?
Yeah, I think obviously there was probably what happens now is a couple of young boys would probably go. They'd been in there or thereabouts, hadn't really sat on the bench, but yeah, away to Stranraer, Davy Matheson's birthday. That's what I remember about it. And away to Stranraer, played left back. It was probably, I'm just trying to think who was playing that day. It would be Davy in goals. Davy Kennedy, Skip, he played right back. George Rowe would have played. Jimmy hadn't signed at that point. It'll be old Cody McEwen.
Right.
Des would have played. Stephen Mallon would have played. Kenny Day, Craig Flanagan. So yeah.
Nice.
And left back, which wasn't the position I'd been playing in for the reserves. I'd been playing centre half, so got thrown in at left back.
Nice.
So, enjoy it.
It's just one of those, you don't have the time, especially when you don't know it's coming.
It's maybe better sometimes.
Absolutely.
When you just get told.
Had no thought about it. Just
no thinking time.
Bang, bang, bang. You were getting your socks on before you were warming up, and it was 3:00 and away you went. So
was that a league game?
League game, yep, local derby. So yeah.
Aye, no, really
nice.
Good. I think you ended up 5th that season in the second division. In 97-98 season.
Yeah.
Did you play many games after that, or was
it's probably a little bit stop-start. I'd played a couple. I think I'd played that game. I think I played the following week. I think we were away possibly to Berwick. Played left back that game, and then on the Monday they signed Jimmy Thompson, and I thought that was the beginning of the end. Obviously another centre half coming in. I was away, so probably stepped out for a while, and I think probably to the end of that season, probably just a little stop-start in terms of appearances.
You were still young though. You were
I
only
was
18.
Just 18 turning 19, so still young. So yeah, good experience, enjoyed it. Just wasn't expecting to be involved that early, so yeah, anything was a positive for me.
Yeah. Can you remember your debut for Annan?
Aye, Billy Sim gave us it actually.
Yeah.
Aye, against Vale of Leithen.
Right. Were you young then?
16.
Right.
No, maybe just turned 17, but I thought late 16s, very early 17s.
In the east?
East of Scotland.
Yeah.
So I played south and that, like, similar to Sale Andy. And then because Billy, I don't know what had happened. It was something like, I think, I could be wrong. No, I'm talking rubbish, sorry. I was going to go and say it because when Billy Sim, that's when Buff quit. Because Billy Sim took the South fixture, but it wasn't. That was a different story. Sorry, going off a tangent here.
Only I thought your debut was.
And then on the Wednesday, when was your debut?
Well, I made I went on loan to like Montrose was my first kind of, and I think it was only 18.
We played against each other.
Aye, we did. Yes, you were with Albion and I was with Montrose, and we were waving at each other. So you could imagine.
Drove up in
the car together, right?
We met an agent that day and all, didn't we? A guy wanted to be my agent.
Him, no me.
Did he think you were coming? Big
Peter, where's your gloves?
That was a feature right there. And I always remember going out onto the pitch, and we went up. So as soon as you get out the car, it's all serious, isn't it? And then we went out on the pitch, and I'm run down to my goal, and I just see the big man at the other side going. So then I just started waving at him like two pals waving at each other. Amazing. Brilliant. But it's always.
What was your Kelly debut?
Kelly was away to Motherwell actually. It was like towards the end of the season. Jim Jeffries. I'd been on loan. I don't know if I'd
start of that season when you were at Montrose, or because you got injured at Montrose.
I got injured at Montrose. No, I think I actually had went to Montrose, got injured, had a period out, and then I went on loan to Queen's.
Yeah.
And then I ended up making my Kelly debut a bit further on because I had a half season at Queen's. But I know it's always interesting to see how players make their debuts and when they make their debuts as well. I would have been older with Kelly. I would probably have been 21, I would have thought. But loan spells before it. So, but going back to you, Andy. The following season, November, he played in a massive match for the club, which was the Challenge Cup final
at Motherwell,
actually.
Yeah. Yep. So I started that season playing left back. Played every round.
That was quite early on though, wasn't it? It was like November time, I want to say.
Yeah, I think probably early November, like November the 5th. It was that time where the Challenge Cup was done before Christmas, whereas before now it's obviously drags out through. So just a really good side. Lots of experience in that team. You look at that team. I don't know if you've got it.
Andy, we've got it.
Pedro, do you want to?
I could probably tell you.
Go on then, Andy.
I'm going to say Davy Matheson goals.
Yes.
Skip, right back, Davy Kennedy.
Yep.
Jimmy Thompson, George Rowe, Andy Aitken, Derek Townsley wide right, Tammy Bryce, Mark Cleland centre midfield, Des McEwen wide left, and this is where it gets me. Was it Stevie Mallon? It was either going to be Kennedy or B. Craig Flanagan.
Kennedy.
Not one fucking right.
You were way off.
Everyone was right.
Yeah,
good team.
Yeah, it was a good team. And then on the bench, I don't know if it was the good old days when you had like two on the bench, was it?
Three, aye.
I'm going to say Jamie McAllister.
Yep.
Because he came on for Des
McEwen. They all came on.
Did they?
Yep.
Craig Irvin Wiggy.
Yep.
I don't know who he would have
You've
came on
named
for.
the other one.
Craig Flanagan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Aye, great memory of that.
Yeah, really it was a good team, to be fair.
Brilliant team.
It really was.
So it was against Falkirk, who were obviously a division above you.
Full time.
You got beat 1-0. But I think it was a good performance.
It was. They scored middle of the second half, 65. Davy Hagan scored, was it?
Yes, it was.
For Falkirk.
Yep.
And then we had an unbelievable chance right at the death. Derek Townsley put one over the bar from 18 yards.
Right.
And then, but ultimately, what an experience. Nearly missed out on it. Nearly missed the game because my dad was taken. We were staying at the Queen's Hotel at Lockerbie the night before because it was a Sunday. So we were training in Lockerbie, stayed at the Queen's Hotel, and Dad was taking me over, and we crashed the car on the way over to Lockerbie.
Oh wow!
No, it wasn't his fault. Somebody had pulled out in front of us basically, and Dad ran into them.
He wasn't on the train tracks, was he? Thomas!
So yeah, I had to go and get checked out of it, and was okay to play. So
that was the day before.
That was the day before. Right. That was a Saturday morning on our way over. Yeah, going to the Queen's Hotel. We trained at Lockerbie Academy and then got the bus up that morning.
Oh, nice. And you were only 19. Was there a big crowd at the game?
Yeah, full house, 9,500. And we, in terms of Queen's, took a big crowd. Like, you only know up the road.
Yep.
Big crowd. And great experience. And it's one of those that at 19 you think it's going to happen every single year.
Yeah.
And you probably don't realise it and appreciate what you've had.
Take it for granted.
Yeah. And it was one of those.
Yep.
But then that night came back down the road, and what a night out.
Was it? I was going to ask that.
Absolutely.
Great night out.
Aye, locking at the Chancers.
Was it?
Oh, yes, for the Queen's boys.
Aye. And then taxi back to Lockerbie at like 6 o'clock in the morning, where it continued.
Nice.
And then I'm actually going to throw one out. I think we played Clydebank on the Tuesday night. Absolutely steaming. Hangover.
Folk missing the ball in that.
Aye. Away out the old
Amazing.
Clydebank away, old stadium, and I think we've got a bit of a pump in, to be fair.
Oh well,
So
good times. And then, am I right in saying you got a trial at Aberdeen?
So that would have been
that season.
What year was that?
That was 99. So
no, that would have been 97. The Challenge Cup would have been 97.
Yes,
so
it was.
98-99 season again started. Probably left back, left centre half.
Made it your own.
Which one? Left back, probably.
Secured your left back.
Not quite tall enough for centre half, but not quite technically good enough for left back.
Hybrid in between. Hybrid.
Somewhere in between.
Ooh, a back
Just
five. Just Andy slotted in between.
Just sit. Don't want to go forward. It's all right.
Protect them.
I think 98-99 season. I think it was the season where Rowan and Mark left halfway through the season, and then George and Kenny took over, and then things kind of changed a little bit. I think in terms of back four, there'll be Derek Lyle, No, not Derek. David
Lilly.
Lilly. Myself and Jamie McAllister. We all went to Aberdeen with Dennis Boyle at that point.
Right.
It had more or less been agreed. It was a week's trial. Paul Hegarty was the manager. I think it had been agreed for Jamie and Lils to go, and then it was one of those. It kind of fell through. Paul Hegarty got the sack, and we never went. So obviously, major disappointment at that point. Having been there, and trained with boys like, remember big Kevin Ruksovic. He was there at that point, and obviously didn't realise at that point. Obviously, he was coming through the youth system, and other players that you go on and play against later in life.
Yeah.
But a good experience to see, because it was a great experience.
Massive club.
Oh, absolutely, great experience.
So were you full time at this point?
No, so the first.
Were you working with my dad at this point?
Probably just
talking to you.
Yeah, probably just at that point. At that time, I'd probably just started with your dad. First 2 years at Queen's, so 96, 97, 97, 98. It was one of those full time, and then it probably just then came to there was a shift, and it probably worked out for me to a certain extent. I think they were obviously looking to reduce wages a little bit. Don't get me wrong, working fortunes, half your money, and it was a throwaway comment to George Rowe and Ken when they're doing those negotiations. Can I get a 2-year deal? Because you're obviously reducing my money, and they said, straight away, no problem at all. And that's when we went part time, training 2 nights a week. At that point, we were training up the road in Glasgow for one night, and then obviously then at Dumfries on the Thursday. And it's at that point I started working with your dad, because your dad used to give me a half day on a Tuesday.
To go to
so
training.
I didn't drive at that time, so I was planes, trains and automobiles trying to get to
Aye.
Glasgow. And there was a bus from, like, put a minibus on for all the kit and stuff, but having to get home, showered, bus to Dumfries or a train, and then on the flip side try to get back down the road. Yeah. So
Some shift.
Aye.
Some commitment, no?
No, absolutely.
Yeah. And then obviously it was change of manager, as you spoke about there, and then John Connolly came in.
John Connolly came in.
Yeah.
And it was one of those, it's probably that initial conversation and that glib throwaway remark about a 2-year contract was probably the one that saved me. Because at that end of that season, when we knew there was the change coming, most of them boys got released.
Did they?
Yeah.
Moved them on.
And I had
brought
that
his
one
own team in.
And brought in, and to be fair, he brought a load of boys, because John was over in the northeast with Ashton. He brought a load of boys over from the northeast.
Yeah.
And went through an unbelievable amount of players that first season. And as I said, if it wasn't for that 2-year deal, I would probably have been away as well.
Yeah.
And without really knowing, I think it was just, we're making a change and that's it. So it probably saved that aspect of it for me, whereas other boys were just given the heave-ho and they were gone at the end of that season. So
It's always that kind of. Do you know? It's interesting because that was probably your first real change of manager. But as you explained there, you were fortunate that you had a contract.
Yeah.
Queens wouldn't be in a position to pay you off.
No, I mean it was like, to be fair, money wise, it wasn't great money at that time. You were like 50 quid a week.
But it wouldn't make sense for them to pay you. They just keep you, especially if you've been playing as well.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. And John Connolly had quite a little bit of a successful spell as well at Queens.
Probably struggled that first year.
Season.
That first season
Second
was a poor
season,
season.
2001, 2002.
The second season had some
Won the
real
league.
Brought in some other people over from the northeast, like Paddy Atkinson, Steve Bowie, Peter Weatherston, a real core of that team for the next couple of years, and then brought back Jimmy Thompson. He came back because he had left to go to Arbroath, and then other Scottish lads, which we'll talk about later on in the team. So there was a better balance between the Scottish side and the northeast side. But I mean, that year,
a brilliant season though.
Slow start. You don't realise how poor it was up until Christmas. We were way off it. We were probably at Christmas 7th or 8th in the league.
So it was such a strong finish that got you there.
We were pretty much unbeaten to the end of the season. Now I'm not going to say it coincided with me coming back into the team at that point, but pretty much.
Say it, Andy. Let others say it.
I think I hadn't really, again, because he'd brought his own players in and had that year. They had played. Big Jimmy had got injured away to Stenhousemuir. Big Ian Ferguson had broke his cheekbone. That allowed me to get back in, and then from there from that run to the end of the season, really, really pushed on.
Who were the main players that season in the squad that stuck out for you that made the difference?
For me, and it's probably part of that, my top 11 that'll come to later. Looking through the team, Jimmy Thompson, when he come back in towards the end of the season, Paddy Atkinson. There was a flexibility with Paddy that could.
Paddy Atkinson, left back,
played everywhere.
Left-footed though, wasn't he?
Left-footed,
I can remember him.
Cultured. You don't realise, played for Newcastle United. Played a decent level down in England at a time where it was probably difficult to get in.
Steve Bowie, remember him?
Bowser. incredible.
Class player.
Aye. And again, would run through an absolute brick wall. One of the fittest boys I've ever seen. Would lap people. Like you talk about Stevie Sloan when down there, Bowser was the same.
Aye.
He was incredible. John O'Neill,
Yeah,
another unbelievable player.
brilliant player.
Yep.
Even you did Sean O'Connor come from that
Sean-
north east side? Or
No, Sean had
Sean would
came.
be
He
United.
was Hensford originally. That's who he played for because he's from Birmingham area.
Yep.
Went up to Dundee United.
United, yeah.
Came to us. He actually went to Morton on loan. We played in a game midweek against Morton, and it was one of those. I think it was the fire. Is it 6-5? I think the final score was.
Right.
Sean scored 4, I think, and then we signed him. It was probably that January of that season. We signed him on loan to the end of the season. I think probably Del Lyle was there at that point.
Yeah. he
Joe
was.
McAlpine, was he in that squad at that year? Was he with the following year?
I think he must have been the
The
following
following
year. Yep.
So aye.
You've got Willie Gibson, Burnsy.
Burnsy. So Burnsy didn't really play. He came, I think he was just kind of coming into the team at that point. I don't think he actually played much of that season.
Peter Weatherston was a big one as well.
Massive. We'd signed him from Newcastle Blue Star, and nobody really knew him, but what a player.
What
He'd
an
moved up.
impact.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The goals he scored, and he was in the kind of same ilk as Sean. A little bit more aggressive, but he could run in behind, he could come short, he could turn and drive at players. He pretty much had everything
Good
going.
finish as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, people don't see this side of it, that like we would train on a Tuesday, Thursday night at Palmerston. He lived in Dumfries, so he was there at 5 o'clock. And by the time you come in after work, he was on the pitch.
Right.
He was on the pitch and he was doing finishing. He was doing free kicks. He was doing getting somebody just across balls. He was working.
Technically excellent, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
He was. Like,
Yeah.
awesome to see
Might
you
play
win.
against them.
Can you?
Yeah.
But not just those boys, because that squad will have had Derek Allen. Was he in that squad? He wouldn't a name that's
You just memorised.
Derek Anderson. Dale Anderson, was he in that squad?
Yes, he was. Yes.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say about that squad that year, in terms of the socially, and we've spoken about this before, Pete, the team that drinks together, that old,
Yeah.
and you can make excuses to say it's probably the wrong act, but the team that drinks together was the team that wins together. And that season, like, there was a car school from Glasgow, like the Carlisle side was there as well, Newcastle. Every Saturday night at home, regardless of result, we were out in Dumfries
Well, yes.
every week.
That's brilliant.
And
All of that.
somebody was obviously the designated driver for those vehicles going everywhere else,
Yeah.
and they would just rotate it every week, so everybody got a chance to have a drink or
Massive.
drive.
That helps, doesn't
Huge,
it? Team,
for me,
team
it
spirit.
definitely goes a long way.
I think certainly, and nowadays everything has changed, but I think further down the divisions, that's so important. It's so important. I think having a team that's together, probably what I would say is one team I would look at is Montrose. I don't know about their drinking culture, but they've been together as a group for such a long time. They've only changed 1 or 2 players each season, and the core's been there for a long time.
Yeah, and for me, that goes a long way because
Massive.
players adapt to players and get to know players and who's around them and what they know in terms of what's going to happen with body shape. It goes a long way on the pitch as well.
Yep.
So
No, brilliant to hear that. Another Challenge Cup final in 2002, October the 20th. He played Brecon.
away at Brecon, and it was one of those where, again, massive crowd, both sides. Harry Kearney played in that game.
And that game, sorry, was that was at Broadwood, wasn't
Broadwood,
it?
yeah, Clyde, Broadwood. Harry Kearney played for Brecon that day.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Ah, right.
So how did he do?
He got beat. Plays that I don't obviously. Do you know about Harry's probably one of the only players that's had 2 testimonials at different clubs?
Has he?
Has he?
Stenhousemuir and
Stenny
Brecon.
and Brecon.
Ah, right. Some achievement, that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it was a brilliant occasion for you.
absolutely.
What-
Because
Oh, sorry, I
He
was just
made that
about to
probably-
say, is that who you kind of like modelled your hairstyle on? Is that just a real hero of mine?
if they had hair at the start of the season and started coaching with you, Pete.
Just wore a swim
So-
cap since.
So to be fair, the management team obviously strengthened in the summer. Obviously, Andy Gorham came in. Probably that's when Joe McAlpine came in. So yeah, the squad that we had was very, very good. And yeah, again, I think I probably played left back that day.
Right.
I think I'm going to say the team that day was
I've not
Andy.
got the team, Andy.
Have you not?
You could say
I've
anything.
just
Go on,
got
keep going.
Andy, I'm going to say Andy Gorham,
I know it was Andy Gorham, yes.
Alan Gray, right back potentially, Jimmy, Dale Anderson, centre half, me left back. I'm going to say Joe McAlpine wide left, Bowser, John O'Neill in the middle. I wouldn't. Peter Weatherston potentially up front with Del Lyle, and I don't even know. Paul Burns maybe wide right.
Right.
That day.
Well, I've got a picture of
Let's have a look.
that's your squad picture with
From
a
that,
trophy.
yeah.
From that era.
Oh no, Robbie Nielsen played right back because we'd signed Robbie.
Yes.
Robbie made his debut for us in the semi-final of that competition away at St Mirren, 5-4, and yeah.
So Andy, see at this time, because obviously you spoke about there wasn't massive money at Queen's. Was there money at Queen's at that point, or was it just a good group of lads?
It's probably a little bit of everything in terms of the squad that you've got, because Andy Gorham's not coming for nothing.
This is
you know
what I mean.
Let's be honest, and I don't mean that disrespectfully,
No.
but he'd left Manchester United and came up and signed for us.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So looking through it, Eric Payton was probably, even the Eric Payton probably was involved in that squad as well.
Andy Gorham, what was he like? Was he
Unbelievable? He was everything that you could ever hope for in an individual. And
Talking from, see, you're in front of him.
in the change, everything about him in the changing room, on the pitch, in training, he was everything that you would expect from somebody that's played at a really good level. And the highest accolade that you can say is after, because he only played for the first 6 months of that season, got injured, he left the club, and thankfully, kept in touch.
Yeah.
If he was coming down to do the Rangers thing that he does with the fans, would come and meet me, get a crack.
No
even
way.
if it's just, yeah. And it's you would never expect that. Obviously, Andy Aitken, for Annan, but he kept in touch. And he had the chance to come in at Annan under Murph.
Did he?
Yeah, and he messaged to say, look, what's the crack? I'm trying to get back involved. And, you know what I mean? Can you speak to somebody?
Wow.
To be goalie coach?
To be goalie coach,
Oh, right.
but didn't have his qualifications.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So,
And that's
What's
That's
the
what's
last thing you would expect, isn't he?
yeah.
that's
That's
very
a goalie of that
so-
calibre, and just, I can't get in because I've not got my badges.
Well, that's
Shite
for
that,
me,
innit?
it's a flaw in I know you need to go out there and you get your badges, but there's certain people for me that have played the game, know the game inside out.
Absolutely.
They should have honorary badges.
They should be definitely helped along the way. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I done my B licensing. The course was probably one of the ones that the PFA run where it was for players only.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to do the prerequisite badges up until that point because you'd played the game. So the expectation was that you had an understanding of the game.
Yeah.
So I think it goes a long way, and I think the PFA still run similar
I think
courses.
they do,
yeah.
No, brilliant. Andy Gorham,
But going
what a
back to that night, that was another one that back down
I
to
was
Dumfries.
gonna
That
say,
was
that'd be
another.
class.
That was another night out, and
Was it?
obviously with Andy Gorham.
The weekend
unbelievable.
out.
How long did Andy go for? It must have been a
It
good
was the
few
start.
days.
That was a Sunday night, so that was Monday, and I'll go back to probably the Tuesday now.
Amazing.
Because Andy he stayed in Dumfries at that point. He was staying at the Townhouse Hotel across from Aldi,
Yeah, I
Annan
remember.
Road. So every Thursday, even on a Thursday night before a Saturday, some of the boys were going back to the Townhouse
Aye.
for a couple of beers.
Couple of beers.
Couple of beers after training.
Why not? Why not? Brilliant memories. Brilliant memories. You made the move to Gretna. Was that? Obviously, they had joined the leagues by this point. Was the attraction full-time football? Because they went straight into full-time football.
They went straight in. They did, and it was one of those. There was a couple of attractions for me. One, I was getting to.
Getting
how
weighed
very
in.
dare you? How very dare you? I'll have you know, Peter. I took
we
a
do
wage
not
cut.
talk the truth on here, Peter. Keep that hidden.
I'll have you know, I actually took a wage cut to go.
Did you?
Did
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, and
You were
that's-
one of the unfortunate
that was one of the
ones.
unfortunate ones. Damn it! I didn't have an agent. So at that point, I'd left your dad, and I'd went back to college. Done a business admin kind of course. Had managed to get myself into the council, and at that point, had got a job in emergency planning. I was
Flood
working in the
department?
bunker. Flood.
Was it the flood department? Was it not?
Flood department.
Aye.
Is that what you said?
Aye.
No, emergency response.
Oh, was it?
It was a part of the flood scheme. Was a part
Oh,
of it.
so right.
So not emergency planning. So I was on decent money there. I was on decent money at Queen's at that point.
Yep.
And then folk automatically assume you go to Gretna because it's on more money. The money ultimately wasn't an attraction for me because, as I said, I took a wage cut and actually kept my job with the council. So I worked every Wednesday with them
did you?
initially.
Right.
Yeah, for two reasons. We just had Kerry was pregnant with the oldest one, and to be fair, it's one of those that I wanted to keep that job just in case it didn't work out
Yep.
for me.
Yep.
So went to Gretna. It was, for me, it was just different, and it's having that experience of full time at a good club. I'm not saying Gretna wasn't a good club, but it was just different. It was just really disappointing because there was players and individuals at that club that were probably there for the wrong reasons, for the money, and they were probably ripping the arse out of the individuals at the club to a certain extent.
Oh, so you'd worked with Rowan at Queen's?
At Queen's. So
was he the same roughly at Gretna as well?
Yeah, so it was Rowan and Davy Irons. Davy was assistant manager at that point. And I'll take nothing away from Gretna. It gave me some great experiences. Went to Italy a couple of times, went to Austria pre-season. Never thought I was ever going to get that experience. But for me, going to Gretna was about going full-time. I was 26 at this point. I just wanted that experience. Plus, it was on my doorstep. We trained in Annan. We changed up at the rugby club, walked down to the Everhome.
Trained down there.
Do
you think then, again, Rowan potentially signed the wrong type of player?
It's difficult because I think he was probably trying to sign
big names.
Not initially. Don't get me wrong, there was big names there. Davy Holdsworth was there.
Yep.
He was in as a centre half / fitness coach. There was big names there, but there was
guys
like Andy Smith, David Bingham, Kenny Duker was there. But then on the flip side of that, you had Gavin Skelton, who'd been there from the good old days. Davy Matheson was there from the good old days.
Granger? Was Granger there?
He was just a young boy at that point. He was just
still?
like under 18s at that point. You had Gav, Davy, you had boys from Cali United who came up, Mark Birch, Derek Townsley was there, Ryan Baldacchino.
Was Dobbs there? Older?
Yeah, he was. Dobbs was there. Yeah, from the Carlisle side.
Yeah.
Dobbs was there. Didn't really play much because obviously they'd brought this influx.
Dobbs? What
Not Stephen Dobie.
No.
What was his
name?
Ian?
No, fucking hell. Used to work at Crosslands.
Did he not work at the service station at Metalbridge Inn?
So it's Dobbs. We'll just stick
with Dobbs. We'll edit that bit out.
But then the squad that we had at that point was very, very good and was enough to get us through that league initially, which would be like League 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But as I said, we were full time, and every game at that point was again like a cup final because the other teams wanted to beat you. Yeah. And don't get wrong, like not going into the money aspect of it, but depending who we were playing, Brooks would come in before the game and basically come, right lads, it's a double win bonus a day. If it's a clean sheet, I'll double it again.
Jesus.
Again, I always remember being, because you trained in Annan, there was company cars flying about and
Chryslers.
Well, initially when I went down, again, no agent, I just went down and spoke to Rowan, and Brooks was there, and it was one of those, this is what we're offering, no bother. And it was a flyaway comment because I'd heard the stories. I want a car. So he says, aye, no bother. So if you're signing tonight, there's a car out there waiting for you. I was like, aye. I said, but I've driven down. He says, I'll be there for you tomorrow, come and get it. So I got a wee blue MG.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Everybody on the playing staff got a car.
That's mental. And again,
you think about that in terms of
financially, and that's where I was going to go. Was, see, when you were at the club, did you think it was going to end up the way that it did end up?
For me, I could see it coming very, very quickly.
Again, looking from the outside in, huge amount of money, company cars in the bottom league. Yes, they had a wealthy owner, but not wealthy enough to continuously do that when you've got no fan income coming in.
Yeah.
I get when Rangers dropped down, they were paying boys bigger wages, but again,
the
whole club was massive compared to where Gretna were. What crowds were you getting at that point?
A couple hundred, 300.
Exactly. And you're paying a huge amount of money out. So did you feel as if it was eventually going to crash at some point?
It was one of those, that first year into the second year, it just seemed to be like every window there was 2 or 3 players they'd paid money for players. Like David Graham had came in, Alan Jenkins had came in, but it was like one of those, like initially.
Was Dr. Duker there yet?
He came that season, but didn't start. Andy Smith was there. He was playing up front with David Bingham.
David Bingham had Livingston, wasn't he?
Inverness,
and obviously Andy Smith was Airdrie for years, and they had good careers.
Yep.
So they'd be paying these guys a lot of money to come down the road.
And I took a wage cut to go to Gretna. But it was one of those. It was like, the whole thing about the cars was great. And then one day everyone's like, you need to go down to Gretna. So we came with them again, and there was just car transporters, and it was like BMWs, and they're like that. Just pick one, whichever one you're wanting. Just pick a car.
Way.
Oh, honestly. And like at some point you'll speak to Dave Irons, I'm sure, because of the coming on here. He'll tell you the story. We could write a book about Gretna, and genuinely people wouldn't believe some of the stuff.
That's incredible. Again, like,
and very well. I don't wrong. Very well.
Happen,
Brooks was amazing. He absolutely was. Nothing was ever bothered. Yeah. So we used to get home games. We would have our pre-match at Gretna, and it was Brooks that cooked it for us.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
it's lovely.
So he looked after us in every aspect. He honestly did. So it was like he would make the chicken breasts. So there would be beans there. He'd be stirring the beans.
Aye.
He'd have that cigarette hanging out his mouth, bottle of Lucozade out his pocket.
What's the kind of scary movie with a good hand?
Do you want some mashed potato?
Just Brooks spooning it on.
Yeah, but so you know what I mean.
It's a shame though. Again, that he put so much into the club and then it did crash. But again, it was always.
But look at the experience that they've had. They've went through those leagues very, very quickly. You know what I mean? And it's an unbelievable experience for probably everybody involved at that time as they were going through that. Don't get me wrong, you could probably see what was coming somewhere down the line. You honestly could, because it was never going to be sustainable. It never was.
Yep.
So.
And then you moved back to Queen's 2006.
Yeah, so at the end of that season, they came to me because I was captain at that point. We won the league. Thanks very much. We'd won the league.
Good bonus that day.
Not that day, but it did come. It did come
end of the month.
The next pre-season, Brooks walked on the training pitch with a number of
envelopes,
checkbooks.
Okay. Did he?
Just done it that way. Yeah. So the club had came to me, offered me another 3-year contract, but I had to leave my work at the council.
Right.
They wanted me to be there, which is fair enough. I can totally understand. So.
What was the reason for that? Because when you were off, usually on a Wednesday anyway.
Yeah, they just wanted.
Exclusive.
Pretty much, because there was times where we trained on a Wednesday, and I just basically said, "Nah, I'm not. I've got this." So, but again, that season, I'd signed a new contract, but they went out and signed other players at that point. So, I'd, unbeknownst to myself, injured my knee, had some surgery at the start of that season, and obviously then missed out, and it only lasted another 6 months.
Right.
Left in the January to go back to Queen's at that point. So. And again, you would never have left knowing that they were going to get to the Scottish Cup at the end of that season. But ultimately, I probably wouldn't have been involved anyway because of the players that they'd signed. And so.
And was it Ian McCall that brought you back?
Ian McCall brought us back, and the story goes, and I don't know if this is true, that he'd went to Jimmy Thompson and said, "Who would you want back as a centre half partner?"
Right.
And Jimmy had said myself. So, yeah.
Whoa, I wasn't going to say anything.
What's
look at me.
What's
He was waiting on me to say something. He maybe not Andy Aitken. He was fucking coughed. I heard Andy Aitken. But that was a legendary partnership. Yourself and Jimmy.
Absolutely. But then walked away from a 2.5-year contract. I didn't say walk away. I'd obviously managed to get some sort of agreement to leave.
When you went to Queen's, did you go full time?
No.
So they were part time.
They were hybrid.
Right. Okay.
So they were probably part time at that point. I think it was Ian Scott who was the manager. Didn't work out. Ian McCall took over, and it was kind of that hybrid. So we were Tuesday, Thursday night, but then we were Friday morning as well.
Right.
So. And at that point, it worked out well for me. At that point, Olivia was born, so I was probably at home more with her and having that experience as well, which was amazing. Still trained 2 nights a week and had that Friday morning as well. But you've got to remember at that point we were in a hole towards the end of that season. We were 6 or 7 points in the relegation hole at that point and managed to get ourselves out of it. So. Am I
right in saying you got a testimonial? Was it the following year you got a testimonial?
It was probably later on. That was probably a part of that, because I think I came back and I think I probably signed a 2.5-year deal when I came back. So to make sure that, and that was a part of that, getting a testimonial.
Good.
And see the following season, did you get injured?
Yeah. So unbeknownst, again, it comes back to it. It was from when I was at Gretna. That knee injury had been misdiagnosed and I had ruptured my cruciate.
Right.
So the experience that you've had, Cammy, with your own knee, that the cruciate had ruptured and reattached itself. So there was a little bit of instability there. I didn't know at the time. I thought it was all right. We'll try to work through that. And then we were away that pre-season, away to Coleraine. And then foot got caught, completely snapped. And that was that.
Surgery.
And thankfully the club paid for that surgery. They paid for me to go down to Sheffield to see the England cricket team's surgeon, Derek Bickerstaff. I don't know how it came about. So they paid for that. So. And
how did you find that? Was that your first real? I know you had a slight an injury at Gretna, but was that the first real long-term one?
Yeah, that was the first serious one that I'd had, and try to get back for that. It can be difficult. Yeah, because you're not full time. I would say mentally, because I had stuff to keep me going. I was at home. Like they trained the Tuesday, Thursday night, and the Friday, so I had enough stuff in terms of rehab to keep me going. whether it's a case of just even getting out and just walking the dog,
Yep.
using the pram with Olivia in it, you
Yep.
know what I mean, stuff like that. Had enough to keep me going. We had Kerzo, the physio,
Yes, aye.
another one. God rest his soul, he's
Yes,
away.
great guy.
Yeah, some great stories, and I'm thankful that I managed to get through that season and get back playing by the end of that year. So, and of course, by the end of that year, Ian McCall's left and Gordon Chisholm's taken over.
Yep.
So,
Aye. So Chizzy took over 2007.
yeah, which would have been my testimonial year of sorts. Yeah, so coming back, and obviously I'm still trying to find my confidence after the knee injury. Probably not 100% confident in everything I was doing on the pitch. Probably showed in some of the performances that I had early that pre-season into the league. And there was a decision I had. The club were wanting to go full-time. In my mind, I had signed a part-time contract.
Yep.
Wasn't really wanting to go full-time, unless, of course, they were going to give us the extra money to go full-time. So there was a conversation there. I was like basically saying they said there was no more money for me to come in full-time or add that extra money. So I basically refused to come in. Not refused, I stuck to my guns basically. I said, well, I'll take the good old Monday. I'll take a Monday off and the Wednesday that you'd all have off, and I'll come in Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So,
And how long did that last?
in what respect?
With respect of sticking to that?
I stuck
You
to
stuck
that
to that?
for that whole year.
Right. So that was...
And basically stuck to my guns. Ultimately, Chizzy very in that season basically told me I could leave because of that decision. But I was happy to stick to my guns, to be honest with you. I actually told him on a Monday I was working with your dad, which I wasn't.
And a wee white lie, yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong
Nothing
with
wrong
that.
with that.
So,
Wait, did you play a lot that season?
that would have been the Scottish
Scottish
Cup run.
Cup, yeah.
So I didn't play until. So obviously at that point, not involved, and he was playing. Playing anywhere he could there. He was playing midfielders, left centre half, getting beat. Not saying getting beat. It was like
Striker in.
yeah,
Back at centre half.
left backs were playing at centre half, and it was probably an inconsistent start. I didn't come back in until the first round of the Scottish Cup away to Peterhead.
Right.
So managed to get the result there, and the rest is history for that season. For us, for that season, the rest was history for us.
You mentioned that whole Scottish Cup run. You never conceded a goal
Never conceded a goal.
until the semi-final.
Semi-final.
And semi-final was against Aberdeen. 4-3 is one. Incredible game. I always remember. Can you mind watching it, Pete?
I don't think I did.
Oh,
I
I
hated
mind
Queen's
At that point, it's ironic because you had a season ticket up to that point.
dragged there screaming by my dad.
But nah, it was brilliant. What a game that was. It was
Probably to
incredible
watch.
game.
Probably not great being involved.
No, I could imagine.
Defenders not on top that day.
Is that Barry Nicholson that scored for them?
Yeah. Tosher, Burnsy, Sean O'Connor, and
John Stewart, wee Budgie.
John Stewart. Yeah, aye.
Yeah.
They were the scorers
Yeah.
for Queens.
And Budgie didn't start. He actually came on just before half time. Dobbs had got injured, and made a real difference in the second half. Budgie.
A good team again. Jimmy
again.
McDonald in goals. Jammer was class.
Jammer was
Brilliant.
class.
Really
Yeah, we'd
good
got him
goal.
in loan from Hearts for the season. Made a real difference. Absolutely did.
He had a great season that season. But again, that obviously took you into the final. How were you excited? So after that semi-final, how did the boys feel in the changing room?
Absolutely buzzing.
Because you got Hampden.
Because we were going out that night
away.
in Glasgow.
Again, what was the culture like at that point?
Absolutely,
Still?
that success has probably been bred off the back of a good
Serious?
social every
Right.
Tuesday. It was a day out in Glasgow.
Amazing.
Brilliant.
And then boys who were from Dumfries, because we used to travel, we trained in Glasgow, trained at Glasgow Green, and the Tuesday was Tuesday sesh.
Tuesday sesh.
Yep,
Off on a Wednesday.
off on a Wednesday. And
I
I've
used to
lost
love the
count how
Tuesday.
many times I'd get the last train home, fall asleep and wake up in Carlisle, and then have to get a taxi back from Carlisle.
Class. Was it, see, before the game, did you have again, Aberdeen being such a big club, what was the expectations from you guys going to enjoy it, or were you thinking, obviously you think there's an opportunity, but realistically?
I think probably from that run, from the Peterhead game, then the run that we had went on in January in the league, and obviously the cup run, I think you could see confidence was building. Even like some big Jimmy was probably 36, 37 during that run, and he was probably feeling that his career was probably coming to an end to a certain extent, but the enthusiasm he got for that kind of last 6 months towards that cup final was incredible. You could see that in everybody. You could see that confidence was building throughout that 6 months towards that cup final, the semi-final with Aberdeen. I genuinely think that we had that belief that we could have went and won that game.
Right.
Yeah. We could always score goals.
Yeah.
The team that we had, we could always score goals with the players that we had going forward. And as I say, we were pretty solid at the back as well.
Brilliant though, again, a brilliant result which led you into facing Rangers in the final. They actually got just through, beating St Johnstone on penalties in the other semi-final. That's the way that it went.
Was that the Sunday?
I think it was.
We were the Saturday 12:30. They were later on the Sunday,
so
later
they
kick-off.
got through by the
Skin of their teeth.
But gives you the opportunity to play
Rangers.
a team that were...
And no disrespect to St Johnstone, but if you want to play against either of the two, it's going to be Rangers.
100%.
You know what I mean?
And again, they were flying high at that moment.
Oh, absolutely. They were.
What was the lead up to the final?
That's the only disappointment. It probably not let us down, but we had that 4-week break between our last league game and the cup final. So our last league game of that season, we were away at Dunfermline, and then we flew out to Marbella on the Sunday for a week. Club took us out there.
A little bit of team bonding, was it?
A little bit of team bonding.
Lovely.
But then we had the directors came, chairman came, I think Billy Hewitson came probably. And needless to say, we trained up in the hills. We had this hotel, we had a football pitch beside it, and we did train. It was an absolute sweat on, it absolutely was. But then there was a driving range beside the training pitch.
Yep.
So what would happen was you would go and train. You'd go in at the driving range. The driving range sold cans of lager for €1. So you'd come down to training with €5 or €6 in your pocket. You'd go straight to the driving range, and that was the start of your afternoon bike session. And that was every night. Every night.
Good prep for that.
Down to Porto Banús. Unbelievable. So that was that. After we come back, we've obviously had a couple of days off, and then we really went back into it. But it's difficult because there's only so much training that you can do.
Yeah.
So we played St Mirren in a friendly, and it was their younger boys, and then we played Hearts at Rickerton, and again it was their kind of reserve boys, young boys that were involved. It's never going to be the same, and it doesn't matter. We go back to it doesn't matter how much you train. It's never going to be the same as.
Can't replicate that.
No, you can't.
Intensity's never there,
especially a Scottish Cup final that you're trying to build up to.
But on the flip side of that, Rangers had played right up until. I think they were away to Aberdeen on the Thursday night.
I remember the period because there wasn't enough time, and there was loads of complaints going into the SFA and how we're going to play all these games because there'd so many games because of the UEFA Cup run.
Yeah.
And I think they had a few postponed games had to catch up as well, so it was all crammed in. They were playing I think it was 4 or 5 games in a week. It was mental.
So they were away to Aberdeen on the Thursday night prior to the Saturday Cup final. Like, you think about that.
That's
in terms of your
nuts.
recovery, how do you...
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see
how that's affected them.
Or would they say it was Celtic that were playing in the final? Would they have done that for? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know what you're trying to say. You trying to say there's some
Queens here? no, but I
you try to say there's some sort of political bias between Rangers and Celtic.
Listen, I don't know. But if it had been Celtic that were playing in the final, what would have happened there? Because it's Queens, did Rangers accept it? Or I don't know. Maybe they just didn't have enough.
I'm not sure. Ultimately, you can only play what's in front of you.
Aye, totally.
But their team, I think their team more or less on the Thursday night was the team that played on the Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's probably, to a certain extent, probably levelled that 4-week break that we had to the fact that they were playing right up to 2 days before.
Brilliant experience walking out.
Oh, absolutely. Hampden, full house at Hampden is an unbelievable experience, and you don't see that. You get to jump in a bus and you get to go under the stadium, and you don't get to see that, the fan interaction at that point. So to walk out to a full house at Hampden, absolutely incredible.
The music,
and let's be honest,
fire going up.
Oh, absolutely. The cheerleaders, you know what I mean? Amazing. Unbelievable. The jets flying over the head, you know what I mean? Unbelievable. But it's the same. There's a lad fanning who,
aye.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Technically average. But
there's not many other boys from Man played the Scottish Cup final, though. You have, haven't you?
No, League Cup final.
League Cup final, sorry.
Not quite the same.
Won it, I won it though, Pete. They got beat.
So an unbelievable experience, honestly was.
I know, I could imagine.
Unbelievable. And it's one of those that until you're there and you're playing in that and you're trying to shout to somebody that's 5-10 yards away from it and they can't hear you, that's when you know how noisy it is. I always have that experience of, do you know when you're driving in the car and you open the back windows by mistake and you get that boom, boom? That's what it was. There was this, it was like, that's all you felt. It was, you could feel it against your body.
The whole atmosphere.
Yeah, from both sides, like the Rangers fans, and you could feel that. That's what you could feel. You could not hear yourself.
I was there. I think you got me tickets that day, I think.
Aye?
I paid for them, obviously, because you're tight.
Nah, never.
Tight man.
What end we in, Pete? Obviously,
I was in the Queen's end. I had to be, aye. Yes. Had the big hood up on there.
Aye,
You could smell the soap off me, Andy.
You were a season ticket holder, though.
Who's cleaning here?
Shocking, man. He's obviously you lost the game 3-2, but up to 70 minutes, Boydie scored after 71 minutes to make it 3-2. But it was a tight game as well. I remember watching
We
it.
probably let ourselves down a little bit first half. I think probably that 4 weeks off would probably hurt us a little bit. I think we probably stepped off them and gave them a little bit too much respect. And to be fair to Chizzy, in the dressing room, just basically didn't talk about tactics. Just basically spoke about our families, and they're all here watching you, and you've got potential to let them down here if you don't get your finger out. And that's all he kind of spoke about, and it was all we really needed. And
You had to go in the second half.
we absolutely did.
It was a good game.
And
A really good game.
It was. Second half, I said it at the time after the game, and I've said it since, that if we'd scored the next goal, we would have went and won that game.
Well, it was Tosher and Thompson that scored. It was so close to 50 and 52 minutes. So
they
again,
were on. They were on the ropes at that point. They absolutely were. And don't get wrong, like, they were decent first half. If they'd scored probably a third, which they've had half chances, the game was potentially out of sight. But after that second goal went in, you could see they were on the ropes, and the
pressure would have been building on
massive.
them as well.
You could see, like, they were. It's always a good sign when you see players from the opposite team arguing amongst each other, and they were, like, Barry Ferguson was digging out a few boys.
Was he?
Oh, absolutely. And ultimately, they've scored that third goal, and probably just our legs probably went at that point after the 4 weeks off, and it was a warm day as well, big pitch.
Yeah. Was there a big night out after that one?
Everyone back to Dumfries, and the club actually paid for all of us plus family to stay at the Cairndale.
Oh, nice.
It was lovely, a great thing, and everybody's families did. Everybody came back down, and we all stayed there. Everything was pretty much paid for. In terms of, it wasn't a massive night because obviously the families were there. We couldn't go actually into the town. A few of the younger boys did, which was always going to happen.
But it was a nice night to have together.
Different, because like, as I said, my whole family were there. Like, so Kerry and the girl, Olivia was there, and like my mum and dad were there. Sister was there. They all came as well. You know what I mean? Brother was there, so it was lovely. Yeah, it's just something completely different, and everybody else's families, not just wives or partners. It was mums and dads, and you know what I mean. So great. It was a really good night. And then on the Sunday we had the tour of Dumfries. We got the open top bus through the town. Great experience.
Nice.
I never knew that about that.
No,
Did you not know that?
No.
Yeah. So there was I'm not saying a civic reception is probably not quite the right word. We went over to DG1 from the Cairndale. There was a slight sort of, I don't know what we'll call it, civic reception, and then from there, open top bus from DG1 back to Palmerston, and Dumfries was absolutely lined out.
Was it?
Yeah, the streets were packed with people.
That'd be a special moment.
Oh, absolutely, because like, to see
I
that.
thought you were chucking food off the top.
Where I seen you? What are you talking about?
It's a derby on Saturday. You gotta hear them out, man.
You were thinking it was like a good old scramble. Somebody was like 20 pences and that. Woo! So then back to Palmerston, and those fans that had lined the streets had all came to Palmerston, and it was a couple of tours around of the pitch, waving at everybody.
So
and
they went into the stand.
They went all in. All the stand, it was full.
Oh,
the
amazing.
pitch, the stadium was full.
Was it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Because it was free.
You know, you were there.
I wasn't not.
You
there.
were there.
I was not.
You were there. I seen you with your Queen's top on. Number
Pizza
5.
Aitken.
Number 5.
Aitken 22.
You used to clean my boots. What are you talking about?
No.
What boots, baby?
Brilliant memories.
See, quickly on this,
Yep.
what we haven't touched on. You were in the movie. Remember the movie, the film?
Yeah.
What was it, Shot of Glory?
You must have been there.
I was there.
I was there as well.
Were you?
Aye.
Shot of Glory, was it?
Coisty was in it, wasn't he?
Robert Duran.
Ian Robert who?
Robert Duran.
Was that was in Godfather?
No, aye.
It's not
He
Duran.
was their manager.
It's not Duran.
What is it?
Duval.
Oh, Duval.
Roberto Duran no a boxer?
Duran.
What a man.
Shot of Glory.
Duval.
I'm going to say
You were in that?
I was in that.
Yeah.
I can remember the very start of it. You remember it. And they were like, well, we'll just play. And they couldn't get the ball off his good.
Because we just went and we just kept it for 20 minutes and we couldn't get the ball. So
Director
the director stopped it.
Look, you're going to
I
have to
know.
touch.
Yeah.
I can be in there. I can't mind much.
And it was a busy day.
was
Obviously,
mobbed.
it was full.
It was a full day as well. But even better than that, the production company paid for us to have a night out the night before.
Did they?
In Carlisle. Yeah, so that was our payment. Was they paid for us to stay. I'm going to say.
Again, was it just the team at that time?
Yeah.
Your current squad?
Yeah, just the squad. I think probably going back 99. I think it was because
Was it?
Stevie Mallon was there. Stevie Mallon scored a couple of wonder goals. I'll say
class.
99. And the night out was amazing, to be fair. We went down to Carlisle, they paid for it. They
In
put us
Rouge?
No, not Rouge. I don't think it was there
Another
then. The Dog and Duck. Paid for us to stay in a hotel. There was a bit of carnage in the hotel that night as well. A bit of bother. In terms of fire extinguishers going off. And then, so basically, we had to go to Palmerston. They've then bussed us basically around the town to come back into Palmerston, come off, and then, great experience.
Brilliant.
I don't think there'll be much of me in the film, to be honest with
No.
you. Because Ian McCall was in it as well.
Was he?
Yeah, Ian McCall actually played for Queens that day.
Right.
He was like the enemy of Ali McCoist. So yeah,
That's the storyline.
that was the storyline. Yep. And I don't actually think I've ever seen the film from start to finish.
Shot of Glory, isn't it?
Shot of Glory, yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
Robert Duran.
Amazing.
Roberto Duran's the boxer, isn't it?
Brilliant. Brilliant, Pete.
Hands of stone with gloves on.
What an actor.
Jesus.
But in fact, I think Keatsy's got that strip
Has he?
in the shed. One of the strips from that game.
Did you give him it?
No, I think, well,
Who gave him it?
I don't know if I've still got that, to be fair.
Interesting.
Yep.
Are you going to touch on Andy's testimonial?
If you want.
Aye. Why, we were there.
Touching it.
We were there. And that was at the Cairndale as well.
Yep.
Oh, that was another good night,
Yeah.
wasn't it? I've still got pictures of that somewhere.
Right, good night.
Aye, it was.
Full house and all.
Good year.
Probably a little bit indifferent. Highs and lows of that year again. That pre-season obviously, so off the back of that Scottish Cup, you remember Neil Murray, the agent, played for Rangers. On the Monday morning, he'd phoned us, opportunity to go to Cyprus if he wanted it. So it was like, no, it's something I always wanted to do, was going to play abroad for a period of time. So I went up to Glasgow on the Tuesday, spoke to him at length. Basically, one of the managers from a separate side that came and was keen to take me to Cyprus. So I was like, I'll take it under consideration, quite keen. At the same time, that same week, I'd go negotiate that new contract with Queens. Obviously, off the back of that, I didn't want much. I wasn't on massive money. I wasn't fussed, but I wanted that little bit extra, and I just wanted to go the whole full time, give it the Monday, Tuesday, and give it a right good go, because I think we could have probably built on something that year. So, ultimately, agreed to stay at Queens. Obviously, the gaffers then signed new players, and then I think you were there. Were you not? Berwick Rangers game.
Yes,
You were on the bench.
Yep.
Beside me.
Yep.
So that's how that season started for us. Disappointed. Obviously went and signed a couple of players, and I thought that he could have built on what we had done that previous year, but it just wasn't to be. Obviously, I'd found myself back on the bench and disappointed, because I'd maybe not say give up on that idea of going to Cyprus, but Ken, I wanted that year. It was my testimonial year. I wanted to stay and fight, and I was just disappointed.
And play ultimately.
Ultimately, yeah, obviously, because I think we had like that relationship between me and Jimmy. We could continue to develop that into the new season. Maybe just wanted a change in a guard. I'm not sure.
Because Jimmy was still there then, wasn't he?
I think who was the centre half?
I'm going to say Craig Barr.
Aye, so it was Craig
He
Barr.
came in for Blackburn Rovers.
Yep.
So yeah, so I very disappointed, as you can probably imagine, having given that up, really, that opportunity to stay in. I trained well for pre-season.
Yeah.
But brilliant to get a testimonial.
Oh, absolutely. And I appreciate and I know how lucky I am, because obviously I had that period away from the club, and the argument could be that you should probably just have 10 consistent years.
But they honoured it and offered you.
And absolutely.
Turn it down,
No, I'm never going to turn it down. In a good year, the only disappointment I had was I didn't get a proper match that season. For whatever reason, it kind of run away from me. So that pre-season, we went up to St Andrews for a week. You know, we're Dundee United, where you two were there. So we were there at university. We had a week up there. I had a night out last night, one of those, it's your last night, boys, you can have a night out. We went out in St Andrews, really good night. On the Friday night, we were at Gala Bank for that kind of Legends thing. You must have been there, Pete, with your Queen's top on, where? Aitken 5 on the back. Absolutely hungover coming down the road. Had to stop twice. I didn't drive, we had a minibus. Had to stop the minibus twice coming down the road.
Did you have Queen's shorts and socks and an Annan top on?
Both. So I started for
played
Queen's.
Half and half.
I played half and half, and basically the second half played for Athletic.
Mm-hmm.
But it was great because I had a really good mixture of players, because Scotty played. I've still got a picture of me and Scotty together. Scotty was in his element, really was. He what a day.
Same haircut, same barber. Same barber.
And then other players that had came in over that time that had been at Queen's and Annan. So no, it was great experience. But as I say,
And that was the match.
that's the only match that I got. I never got that.
Right.
Aye, but at least
kinda-
you got a match.
I got
to be
something.
fair,
Yeah, it was, so
at Galabank, wasn't it?
at Galabank, and actually got a phone call for Ginge
Right.
that morning because there was been a massive downpour that morning. He's like, "Need to cancel it." It's like, "No, Ginge,"
jeez.
because there's, you know how it was like down the slope,
Aye.
that puddle that sat in the corner.
Yeah.
It's like, there's a puddle. It says, "You're going to have to fucking push
You're
it
gonna
away,
have to
Ginge. You're going to have to get the fork out, Ginge." So managed to get that game, and then obviously the testimonial over that year, the different events that we had. So we'd had, I'm not saying it was a race night. Did we have a night at the townhouse? There was a night there. I think I'm going to say it was kind of like a race night. We had a golf day at the Galloway.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the night at the Cairndale,
Cairndale.
and the dinner, and what a night that was, to be fair.
Who was talking? Des McCune talking that
Yes,
night.
aye.
And who was the other boy?
Des,
The
the comedian?
no, he was another columnist. Was he not?
Generally can't think of the top of my head.
Wasn't Bill Leckie, was it?
It was Bill Leckie.
Was it?
Did Bill speak?
I thought
And there
I could
was-
be wrong, but I think it
And
was.
was there not one of the ex-Queen's legends? Also spoke at the end. He done a little kind of
Right.
5-10 minutes.
Right. It was a good night though.
It
Really
was,
good
and
night.
as I
Yep.
say, there was a full,
Messy
it's a
one,
full
wasn't
house.
it? It was
Oh,
a
it
messy
wasn't
one.
because we remember going out because
We
we
went
got a
out.
minibus home. Eh?
Went jumping jacks, did we not?
Yeah,
Yeah. Aye, great.
yeah, because Neely McFarlane was there as well, and Sean
Yeah.
O'Connor, and yeah, we've still got, as I said, it was jumping jacks because there's a great picture of all of us in jumping jacks.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Stephen.
The suits on in front of
Yeah, it was.
Suited and booted.
Yeah, and then we got a minibus home.
Lovely. Good times.
So,
Good times.
so in terms of testimonial, I'll always be appreciative of that and what it brings. And it goes to show you how good a club Queens are, because it's not just me. There's been others, Paul Burns, Jimmy Thompson. There's been other players that have had that. They've left and came back and had that testimonial. So
And then you eventually did leave Queens and went to Ayr for a short period.
yeah, so at the end of that season, I knew it was coming because I'd kind of been in and out of the team at Queens, and I wasn't expecting. Disappointed, never got a kind of final farewell at Queens. Final game of the season, we were away to Livingston. Again, sat on the bench and just didn't get that round up, which was disappointing for me because I knew it was coming. I knew I wasn't getting offered a new contract at that point. So, big Brian Reid, who had played with previously at Queens, he had got the Ayr United job and he had offered us that 1 year deal up there. So
Part time?
part time, which was more than fine for me. I was happy enough with that at that point. I think I'm going to say our youngest one was just born. Evie was just coming along at the end of that season. So yeah, part time was suiting me fine.
Where were you working then?
Went back to John Hope's. Was it John Hope's at
Oh,
Creaker?
aye. Yeah,
back
yeah.
in the tools.
Engineering.
Engineering. Done again. It worked out great because John had a site up in Ayr. So I was fortunate.
nice.
He would leave any of the work needing done or deliveries of stuff to a Tuesday or Thursday, so I could take it up.
Perfect.
So he would allow me to drive the van or whatever, and then
Bring
go
home at
tuning.
night.
I bring home at night.
And it was obviously short-lived, a few injuries and stuff there.
Disappointing, to be fair. Again, we had some really good players like Big Kevin James, remember centre half,
Yeah,
St
yeah,
Johnston.
yep.
Big Kev was there. Who else? Ryan Stevenson,
All right,
Mark
yep.
Roberts.
Yep.
Yep. some
Moffat
really
would have
good
been
players.
there then, was he?
Who?
Moffat?
No, he wasn't there then.
Is that too
No,
early?
Too early. So, yep, again, great highlight pre-season. We played. Dan Petrescu brought a Romanian team
I
over.
remember it.
FC
yes.
Cluj.
Yes.
Is that right?
I think it was. I can remember him
Something
bringing
like
a team
that.
Over. Yep. One
I
of
can't
the
remember
top
if it's
teams, wasn't
Cluj. So they were Champions League, and scored an absolute wonder own goal again.
What was it? Talk us through it.
Header,
Well,
volley.
no, it was a half volley from about 25 yards. Went to pass it back to the goalkeeper. It's taken that little bobble, chipped the goalkeeper 25 yards. And what I will say for them, like they walked out, they were like all Swedish boys,
Aye.
like from that side, 6'4". Every player 6'4", and you're like, fucking Jesus. But fuck me, they could play.
Good
Could
day.
they?
Oh, unbelievable. They gave us the absolute run around. We were hanging on for dear life, like dear life, as I said. Nail in the coffin was Andy Aitken scoring for 25 yards. Oh, gee.
You just helped him along the way. Nice, lovely. So it's short-lived. Then you moved back to Annan.
Back to Annan. So at the end of that season, as I said, struggled and actually got injured at Palmerston.
Right.
Probably, I don't know, September maybe, October. Done my ankle, had some issues with my knee as well at that point. And unbeknownst, was probably out for 8, 9, 10 weeks.
Right.
So I was out for a period of time. Managed to get back in, but then at the end of that season, it was not almost a playoff, but it was like we were away at Greenock Morton. I'd had some issues again with my knee, and probably felt it was best not to play because I didn't think it was going to last that long in that game. And then we got beat at Morton, which relegated us, which was obviously disappointing. Reedy had offered us another year on less money. But to be honest with you, see, like travelling up there, and I'll say this for what I will say is for all the lads who have ever travelled to Dumfries, fair play to them, because I never took it for granted because I knew how hard it was for them. But see, that year I was travelling to Ayr myself. Fucking hell, it was hardjacker like.
Don't need to tell me, Andy.
I know, mate. You have seen the
St.
country.
Andrews and back.
St Andrews.
Oh,
so
but
at least you were on the motorway, no the A76. You know what I mean?
So you came back to Annan. Hometown club, back to where it all started.
Yeah, and it was probably getting to that stage where I just didn't want to be travelling. I wanted to be closer to home. Obviously, we'd had the children; they were obviously still young, and a good opportunity. Come back, get to play, do a little bit of coaching. At that point, I wasn't the assistant manager. I remember Big Degzoid was me.
Who was
the coach.
Manager that brought you back? Harry.
Yeah, I trained. So to be fair to Reedy, when I was coming back from that injury, I'd said I could train. I trained a couple of times with Annan that season before,
right?
Like on the Tuesday night.
Save you travelling.
Save me travelling up. Coming back for the injury, do a little bit. So yeah, I knew there was probably going to be interest there. So for me, I always wanted to come back to Annan at some point. So for me, it was a good opportunity.
Was Big Pedro involved at that point?
Big Pez was there, absolutely.
Yeah.
Young boy. Kitman.
Water boy, youngest.
It's the water boy.
It was the youngest ever water boy, I want to say. For Annan.
Nothing gladiator.
Did you play much alongside each other? Or?
No, he probably took my position.
No, you played right back.
I've played anywhere I was put, Andy, to be fair.
Yeah, you played because there was.
We played a bit.
You played kind of right back. If we went a 3, you would probably play the right of a 3.
That's right, because Big Nielsen was there, mind.
Kevano was there, Aaron Muirhead was there as well.
Obviously, Deggsy would play.
Deggsy wasn't there. Deggsy actually left before the start of the season.
Was he not there when you first come
No.
though? Oh,
No.
right, sorry.
No, he kind of left for whatever, and that's why
You got the chance to come in?
No,
or help
initially come as
coaching-wise.
coaching, and then got stepped up to assistant manager
Right.
at that point. So
Christ, that wasn't yesterday though, was it?
no,
When are we talking there? 2010?
2010,
yeah.
2010,
14 years.
14 years ago, just like that. So yeah, came in again. Good lads, good lads.
Local lads again.
Goes,
we
for me,
spoke about with
goes,
Jazzy and
goes a long way.
Aaron, but
Yeah,
Enjoy your time at the club?
probably. To be fair,
Did you know it was coming to an end? Did you feel as if that
I didn't? I genuinely didn't think it was coming to an end. At that point, I just wanted to enjoy my football, and it was good crack. It was.
what age would you have been there? 32?
2010, 32.
32.
Yeah. So I had a good run at it.
They're still young though when you look.
Yeah.
Ken Willie's still playing at 40 now, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yep.
I mean, not well, but he's still playing. You know what I mean?
But again,
but even goals, what's he, 36?
So you
36, 37.
But you talk about injuries. Like I finished early at 34, and I had bad injuries. My knee was killing me, hernias, everything.
Yeah.
And you were talking about that area you felt, your ankle, your knee.
Yeah.
You start to know that
Your body isn't quite right, and
Yeah.
that's probably one of the reasons why I wanted to come back to Annan, because I didn't have that travelling to put extra pressure on my body. Probably we're probably a slow start that year, and I can actually tell you the change in the turning point of that season,
Which was
Christmas night out.
Oh, it's all about nights out.
It absolutely is. Christmas night out in Glasgow. We'd had a slow start, and then after that we kind of kicked on.
Your memory is
That's
brilliant,
a
man.
catalyst to everything, Andy.
Absolutely is.
Get a
I
night out.
promise you, night out.
Get a night
If in
out.
doubt, night out.
Night out.
Get a night out.
So you then had a brief spell at
I'm
Celtic
not
Nations.
talking finished about that season.
All right, okay, keep going.
Annan,
Keep going.
What about the playoff final at the end of that season? Can we?
The game against
Albion Rovers. home and
Albion
away.
Rovers? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they say, that was the turning point for us, and then that run that we had to the end of that season was really, really good.
Yeah, excellent.
And then what happened in the playoff final?
Well, Albion Rovers was on the Tuesday night,
Yeah.
Wednesday night,
Away.
Aye,
away.
midweek
And
one.
then came
Yeah.
back home.
and then back home on the Sunday,
Yeah,
and then again full house because it was still on the grass at that point.
that's right.
Full house,
Fans at both sides.
both sides. Great, and then unfortunately got beat. Did we? What was it? 3-2 on the Sunday.
Aye, because Robert Love tore us apart.
That's right. That is right.
Lovely.
And then what was the score at Annan?
I'm going to say it was. I actually think it was probably 3-1 up there, was it? Because Doco, remember up there? He played
he
left
settled
back.
a couple of goals,
He did.
didn't he?
So you
Yeah.
missed
He had a
out.
great season,
Yeah.
and then he crumbled in front of his hometown team.
Yeah. So that was that, and then ultimately over the two legs we were beat. So that was probably that really was for the start of the finish for me, because that day was the final, and then that night I'd obviously joined the police, and I was going straight up to the college straight after that game.
And Annan just wouldn't accept people that play for the police, work for the police, can he?
So
no, you couldn't do it for commitments, and that's you were going to training and stuff.
Did you have the conversation? Because obviously we'd applied for it before.
I'd applied for it initially 2009.
Right.
To be told that there was obviously going to be a delay, financial issues. So it was 2011. So at the start of 2011, I'd started to go through that process.
And did you have a conversation with Harry? Was
just kind of left it at that point. He knew I was going.
Right.
He had said that it was potential that you might not be able to, but never really thought much about it. And then that's what I'm saying, like that. So that following pre-season, we really kicked on. We were absolutely flying that pre-season.
Yeah.
And I think, did we not get to the Challenge Cup semi-final? Got beat off Falkirk at Gallowbank.
Yes. No, was it Falkirk?
Yeah, because I think big Neil McFarlane played for us at that point.
Nearly had.
Yep.
Was it Falkirk?
Yeah, I think it was Falkirk.
Who
at Gallowbank.
was the boss at the time?
Stephen Presley.
That's right. It was,
Yeah.
because he went with him after that, didn't he?
Yeah, and at that point, I didn't play. I was just coaching at that point. The conversation was that you wouldn't be allowed to play anymore from the police. So that's how that kind of started curtailing my playing career basically at that point.
Yeah.
So for that initial 2 years of my probation, wasn't allowed to play football. I was allowed to be involved, and that's why I was still there, helping out a little bit of coaching, working around shifts. But in terms of playing, that was it. Knocked on the head.
You weren't allowed to.
I wasn't allowed to.
And then you finished your probation. Had you left Annan by that point?
Yeah, I can't. Under a cloud, probably. I think did not play against Queen of the South friendly reserve team Tuesday night, and then got sent off. And then
was that the end?
I pretty much got a phone call for Harry on the Friday night, basically saying please don't come back. And that was that. So yeah, that was pretty much the end of that.
And it was a wee spell at
Celtic Nation.
Yeah,
so
which was an interesting one because they were a big club back then. They were
very strange.
Strange.
Who was the owners, Andy, or who was backing?
So I don't know. This is hearsay. The story goes that this boy was putting the money in. He was a Scottish lad, lived in America, made his money over there in car washes.
Right.
Had, I think, broken down.
Cleaned his money.
I'm not quite sure what you're trying to say. No, he was an agent back. He was like a musical agent back in the day, but he made some money then, and then went over to America, pumped his money into car washes. He made even more money, and it was the Celtic Nation bus that stopped to assist him, and off the back of that, that's how he started putting his money into the club, because he's from Glasgow. I'm not saying he was a Celtic fan, but that Celtic connection.
Yeah.
And that's how that kick-started. And so at the end of that season when I left Annan, by the end of that season I'd played a couple of games just to kind of help them out, a couple of games over in the northeast, and then that pre-season they brought in Mick Wadsworth as a manager, and I think Davy Irons was there as assistant.
Was he?
Yeah. And that's when they signed. That's when they went and signed likes of
a few names.
Colin Merriman, Willie Gibson, obviously the gaffer was there. Murph came in a little bit later. He didn't start that pre-season, but we had boys coming from literally all over the country. There was a car coming from the northeast. There was boys coming from Manchester. There was boys coming from Liverpool up to Carlisle to train Tuesday, Thursday night.
Christ.
For one reason, Peter. For one reason.
For the love of the game. For the love of the game. But it was, ultimately you talk about Gretna throwing money, like Celtic Nation, they were at that level.
Well, very similar.
Very similar. I'm not saying we're getting cars, but like in terms of the actual finances, like the money that was going thrown about was absolutely ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I had the conversation, can't come every week, I'll work shifts, I won't make every training session, not a problem. I was still getting the same money. Not saying the same money, but I was getting, to be fair, probably a squad player, because I wasn't going to be able to make that every week. But
good money for that,
for what I was doing.
And they ended up a similar way to what Gretna did as well.
It was short-lived, wasn't it?
It was never going to be sustainable.
Nah.
We go back to it, they were getting 50 folk at home games.
Mental.
It was never going to be sustainable. So like Mick didn't last long. I think we'll go back to it, we spoke about it previously, like every game you played against the other teams, it was a cup final for them.
Yeah.
Because there was these stories of money getting thrown about and the standard of player that we had. So difficult. It's a very difficult league, physical, and it's maybe not what some of the boys were used to be fair. So it was very hard, probably not the results that Mick wanted us to get, and he left and Willie McStay came in because he was at Celtic.
Yep.
And again,
big name again.
Massive. You think about the family history, and like he had been at Celtic and the coaching staff all his days.
Yeah.
So I'd come, and to be fair, at that point he had offered me the assistant manager's job.
Right.
So I was very keen because his coaching was very good. But again, on the pretense that I was there every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Saturday, and again, just wasn't going to work.
Couldn't commit.
Couldn't kind of commit, and that's fine. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'd probably my football career that was passing. I knew it was passing. You know what I mean? I needed everything that the police give me was that stability that would probably be that everybody looks for when they're playing football. When you're getting a 9-month contract, a bit of security. You know what I mean? You know, a stable lifestyle, a wage that you can guarantee every single month. You know what I mean? So I was more than okay. Disappointed, obviously, because you want to kind of hold on for as long as you're possible, but it just wasn't going to happen. Never was.
And that was the time to hang up the boots and concentrate on other things.
Absolutely, and that's fine. I've had no issues with that. And as I said, everybody wants to stay in the game for as long as possible in any which way they want to. Whether it's yourself, Cammy, doing the media stuff, whether it's Pete cleaning boots. You know what I mean? No, brilliant. But now you're back involved in the coaching staff, Willie's coaching staff, along with Big Pedro. Yeah, 2 years, Annan boys, leggings,
the dream team.
Yeah, 2 good lads in Cammy.
Enjoying it? Are you enjoying it?
It was one of those because I had that spell at Gretna a couple of years ago, well before COVID, in terms of coaching with Davey, and again that kind of fallen away. Was never. I'd probably got to a point in my life where I was never expecting to get back in, and was probably comfortable with that to a certain extent. Don't get wrong, I had played with Willie since he was 16. Played on his debut. He was in front of me
very well, didn't
very well. Was his taxi driver.
Still play golf with him.
Yeah, most weeks we still play golf. So it's something that we have spoken about previously about working together at some point in some sort of capacity when we were coaching. But as I said, wasn't expecting it. It was actually a surprise because he hadn't spoke about coming down for an interview and then being offered the job. And again, it was probably back in May when we were golfing. He offered us the opportunity to come back. So yeah, it's one of those. Absolutely. Again, it's on my doorstep. It's at Annan.
Massive mistake for him because we've not had one serious conversation in the office yet.
2 years ago.
They try and talk serious and me and him just making an absolute mess of it. Like,
we're the perfect foil.
You never fear them, don't you?
No, it was one of them, and it's one of those that been out of the game for that period of time because obviously COVID came along. I wasn't involved. I've probably been out of the game for that 5 years. It's a long time away from the game. Society changes, players change, the outlook changes, and it's probably, having not spoke to people about this, it's probably try to find your feet again, to find that confidence again, to
be involved
and put your point across. And as I said, they're great lads. What a squad we've got, we really have. But again, as I said, from a personal point of view, I'm still trying to probably find my feet and what my role is, because obviously me and Pete have got a similar role as the water boys. It's difficult, you know what I mean?
2 of them, it's always hard.
Pete does the water, I do the ice, you know what I mean?
We wear one jacket, I'm the right arm, here's the left arm.
Brilliant, it's great to see you back involved. I think it's great for Annan, certainly looking from the outside in, to have 2 local people involved in the club who hold the club at heart. So brilliant. No, I really enjoyed that, Andy, going through your career. It was fantastic. And now over to you for your best career 11.
So I went for a night out 11.
Oh, lovely.
Love it. No, that's not true. It's a little bit, it's trying to blend everything over the years, different players and different clubs that I'd played for. So
formations.
Different. It's a difficult one because if you go 4-4-2, it's a different team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and who was it you'd spoke to in terms of, was Aaron, that your favourite 11 changes over time where you think about things differently, or the players that you've played with. And so the team that I've went with, in gold, Andy Gorham.
Great choice.
And it's a difficult one because Jamie, you talk about Jammer. Talk Lee Robinson.
Yeah.
People forget about Lee, but fuck me, what a keeper.
He's brilliant.
I talk about Cammy Bell. Get him in for that six. Never even talked about the UEFA Cup.
The WAFA. You never even spoke. You were in Europe. We even touched on it on Monday night. Andy would have been playing.
I didn't want to mention
No.
Andy was on the bench, so I didn't want to mention
No.
Trying
to save you.
Yeah. So FC Norgerland. What an experience. What you don't know is Cammy took an injection in his ankle playing that game.
Did I? Aye. Took many injections in my career just for that appearance money, Andy.
Cammy tripped up on a night out, fucked his ankle. So we'll start again. Sorry.
Back to the team.
Andy Gorham probably tells its own story. Absolutely incredible goalkeeper. As I said, even in training, the things that he used to do in training, he was mucking around and he was still pulling off worldly saves. I remember his debut at home, St Johnstone. From kick-off, it's went to Alan Gray, the right back, who has pinged the ball back to him on the goal line. Keegan Parker, remember played with St Johnstone?
Yeah.
Came into him at 100 miles an hour, and Andy has Cruyffed him on the line. And he's played the ball out to me, and I'm like that. Oh my God!
Did you get away?
I put it out for a throw.
Just give it straight back.
I put it into the stand. Try to find feet, and I did to my dad in the stand. So yeah. So again, but we talk about obviously in a night out. It's just unbelievable. And the one thing I will say, see if boys wanted a hotel in Glasgow, Andy would phone and ask for the Rangers discount, and he got it. Aye, and he would do anything. Genuinely, Andy would, and I know he's probably had his stories. Obviously, you see the stories. He would absolutely do anything for any one of us.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And that year we won the Challenge Cup. He didn't play in the initial rounds, but played in the final. And you seen how much it meant to him, because that gave him the full collection of senior medals at that point.
Wow.
And you'll speak about it, that he got more joy out of that one than probably some of the 9 in a row stuff for Scottish Cup stuff, because we were obviously part time at that point, and he could see what it meant to us. So yeah.
Good start.
Yeah, back three. Jimmy Thompson, again, speaks for itself. In terms of players that I've played with, Jimmy's probably had one of the biggest influences on my career. When he came into Queen's, I was obviously still young and raw, and Jimmy would actually take his time after training to go through a couple of things with us. And as you know, that relationship that we've had over the years on the pitch has probably helped massively for us. For individually and for the club as well, because like the success the club have had, both 2002 Challenge Cup, Scottish Cup, I'm not saying we were the main instigators of that, but we played a massive part.
Yeah,
absolutely. Went with Davy Irons as a sweeper in that three. Played with Davy at Gretna. As I said, that initial year that I'd went, Davy Holdsworth was playing beside me as centre half. Davy was probably in his early 40s at that point, was assistant manager. Davy got injured at that point, and Davy came in because we didn't have another centre half. And that year, like he was so good on the ball. Like he played centre half. Obviously, I went and won the headers, all right, and he's just swept in behind. But he was just so cultured on the ball, and that's what I'm saying. At 40, probably say 41, 42 at that point, it was unbelievable. So you forget Davy played in the Premier League.
What was he like in the prime?
What was he like in his prime? And I didn't get to see that. I only got to see him in his 40s, and he was still unbelievable. You know what I mean? So went for a little bit of a strange one. The left side of that three was Brian Reid. When I left Gretna and came back, Rudy was playing, but we played three at the back. Rudy played in the middle of that three, was the kind of sweeper. People forget how successful Rudy was. Played at Greenock Morton Rangers, went down the road to Blackpool, had a stellar career at Blackpool, won a couple of leagues down there. He was obviously coming to the end of his career, but again you could see that he was so relaxed in the ball, didn't give it away, but he could defend as well. He wasn't the quickest, that's why I've put him there, so a little bit of cover, but yeah, Brian Reid. I loved the night out as well. I went for 4 in the midfield. I went for Neil McFarlane, the Goon for the Noon, as he's effectively known.
Affectionately known.
What did I say?
Effectively known. That's
effectively.
Aye.
From Annan. It's not the same. Big Neely. So Big Neely he came to Gretna after I had left, but then he came to Queen's very quickly, and just started and was happy doing that side of the role. He was very disciplined in there, never gave the ball away. His nickname was the Crab. He just passed it side to side, but didn't give away. He knew the game, and he knew how to play. He moved into Dumfries, and we travelled together for a period of time. But look what he's done since he's finished. You know, he's down at Brentford. He's now with Scotland under 19s, and you genuinely. You would want him to do well because he's a good lad. His family are lovely. Still speak to I've spoken to his mum and dad since. His sister's in the police. I've spoken to her. Just a lovely family who, although from Dunoon, still go down to Brentford.
Aye.
Yep.
Wow.
To see the games that he's coaching. It tells your own story. You know what I mean?
Great.
So wide right, Paul Burns. Probably a funny one. Probably a lot of people won't know much about Burnsy, but the fact that he's went and played nearly 400 games for Queens tells its own story. His debut, I was there. He came off the bench as a 17-year-old away at St Johnstone and weighed probably as much as your armpit. 3 stone soaking wet, and the first thing he done was smash Paul Sheeran 50-50.
Did he?
And he came away with the ball.
Oh, nice.
And he developed. He was a quiet, unassuming lad for Cumnock. Would come down, trained hard. As I said, he played wide right for us, and the success that we've had, and well deserved to be in there. Would give you everything. But then you speak about other players that you could have put in there as well. Eric Payton.
Yep.
People forget about Eric. You know what I mean? So yeah, Burnsy gets that shout there. I'll go wide left. I'll go with the gaffer, Willie Gibson. I said I played when he came on for his debut. Queen's Park at home. Played for 20 minutes and got man of the match.
Aye. What a memory.
Played 20 minutes and got man of the match.
Aye.
Yep. And he was in the 16-year-old. He had his issues with injury the following season, which was the year that we had that success, so he missed out on that to a certain extent. But like, in terms of like 16, 17, 18, what a player. Like the trickery that he had, his ability to retain possession, beating a player, whipping a ball, unbelievable. Don't wrong, he needed coached. I was fortunate enough he was in front of me so I could talk him through some of the stuff. But you can see the career that he's had as well, and you know what I mean.
Top player.
Aye, absolutely, and a top boy as well. He probably gets a bit of slack, bit of grief off some player, but I see a different side to him, and yeah, deserves to be in there for me. Middle of midfield, Steve Bowser Bowie. What a player! He would run all day, and it was almost he would run beyond. He'd score goals from midfield. He could defend. He could do every aspect of it. Probably not the biggest, so maybe not in the air, but in terms of his ability to go and score goals from midfield, unbelievable, and go beyond was like his fitness was incredible. As I said, would do laps, would lap people in training. Was ex-military,
right?
Yeah, ex-military. So that's where he got his fitness.
Am I right in saying he had bleached blonde hair at one
Yeah,
point?
yeah. Has he not got it in that picture? Yeah.
Oh, so he has. Yeah.
So yeah, Bowser. Middle of, so in the hole, John O'Neill. I know who mentioned him. Was it Willie?
Willie,
yeah.
He was unbelievable.
He was unbelievable. And you look at his kind of background in terms of, was it Celtic? He was at Queen's Park, went to Celtic, and I think he played for Bournemouth for a period. Yeah, I'm not saying like in the Championship, but sort
when
of
they were lower, but again,
yeah,
played a lot of games there.
Absolutely, yeah. Mm-hmm. Came back up, and it was one of those. I think he'd moved back up to the kind of Newcastle area, I think, and we managed to sign him, and kicked on. Had a bit of a slow start when he first came, but that second season, which was that year, the 2001-2002 season, he was second division player of the year, and deservedly so. He didn't miss, and like even his penalties, he knew what he was doing. He was just going to smash it right down the middle every single time. But he was so much more than that. Like you talk about tactics, which Pete doesn't know anything about, but like picking up spaces in between the lines.
Tic-tacs.
The minty ones.
I know about them. That's
picking up positions in between the lines and stuff like that. It's like he was probably slightly ahead of his time when we talk about that kind of role at that level. But like you put him in there with that combination with Stephen Dobie and Sean O'Connor, they'll score goals. Like he'll supply. It's a difficult one, because I could have put David Bingham in there. I didn't play a huge amount of football with Bingy when I was at Gretna, but he was of the same ilk, and the assists that he would have had and laid goals on for players, unbelievable. But for me, having that success with John over the two spells at Queen's, he gets the nod in there. Up front, that's a no-brainer for me. Stephen Dobie, absolutely incredible. Yeah, unbelievable. And here's the thing, and this is what I'll say for Dobes. Seemingly, played against Dobes when he was at St Johnstone, and I do not remember playing against him. Well. Not in the game. And he'll tell you himself about the life he's had in terms of being at Hibs, being at St Johnstone, then going out to Dumbarton, and probably was on his way out of the game to a certain extent. Came to Queen's. So he came to us from the January to the end of the season, scored some important goals from us. He came back 2007 pre-season, the day after his wedding. He'd went out to Mexico for a couple of weeks, got married, came back, a couple of stone overweight. And you remember Strathay Park, you remember the lake?
Yeah.
You used to do the run. Did you have to do that, Cammy?
No. I avoided that.
We had to do the run, so you would do a couple of laps to start, you were timed, and you had to do a couple of laps at the end, which was timed. The second run that we had to do, Dobes got lapped by one of the coaching staff.
Did he?
Aye. Snowy Morrison, I don't know if you remember Snowy. Stevie Morrison. So he was a part of the coaching staff, who was obviously older at that time, and he lapped Dobes on the two laps at the end. Not a good look. What I will say for Dobes, he knuckled in, done what he had to do. He always had that natural talent. He could score goals. Yeah. What I liked about Dobes is he always hit everything early. Didn't allow keepers to settle and get a position. They didn't have the opportunity. Before you knew it, he touched it and hit it in the back of the net. So he gets him a nod there, but you can see the quality they had when he went down to England. And I still speak to him now, message him. He's obviously got the Blackpool assistant manager's job, or he's in the coaching staff at Blackpool, and still speak. So we might get away in there. People might get a night out in Blackpool.
H2O job.
No, night out in Blackpool.
How you do your water.
We might be able to get a couple of players on loan through Dobes. And then the perfect foil for Dobes, Sean O'Connor. Again, for me, both at Queen's, the two episodes we had there at Queen's, and the time at Annan. Remember he came to Annan?
He was struggling with his knees, I think, when he came to Annan, wasn't he? He was starting
so very, very quickly into that, his first spell with us, he got a horrific knee injury, and he was out for an extended period of time. Managed to get back. The Challenge Cup final, 2002, was his return from that knee injury, and then at the end of that, he got a move to Morecambe, and on his first week slipped over a water bottle and done his knee again. That's how that happened. So he didn't play for Morecambe at all.
What?
Nope.
His knees were horrendous. I remember him when he was at Queen's and how bad his knee was. It was.
So Sean's off the back of coming back.
Great guy though, wasn't he?
Oh, great lad.
Great
Absolutely.
Player as well.
Just moved back. He's
player,
moved. He's moved to Hodham.
It's local, aye.
Yeah, he's moved back up. So yeah, seen him. Didn't know this, and seen him in Aldi one day. I was like, "You didn't hear?" You see that? Well, so his nickname Sheephead. Of all, because he's Barnet, to be fair. Used to straighten his hair before a night out. What I will say, I meant to say about John O'Neill, after the Aberdeen semi-final game, we were obviously out in Glasgow, and as we were walking back to the hotel, John decided to do a full Klinsmann across the road.
Oh.
Aye. Got up, shirt ripped to shreds,
Nipples hanging off.
chest ripped to shreds.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. Not a good look. So that's my team.
Love it.
I think there's conversations I've had about other players. As I said, it wasn't necessarily. There's other reasons for some of the players to be in that team, but I think that's a decent team.
That's a very good team, Andy.
Very good team. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the best team that you've had.
No,
but
I
I'll be
like
up there.
it.
I would take that team against any of the ones that you've had. To be honest with you.
Yeah. No, great.
There's a couple of obviously notable mentions that. Obviously, I used to go watch yourself with my dad and stuff, and meet Cammy at the games, and then like Degsy, when he was on his day,
played wide right.
Up the way,
story about Degsy. In fact, I've got two stories. First one was when he was playing with us, he was probably, I don't know, 24, 25 maybe. Obviously, he was a gazelle when he went, kind of got them legs going. He played wide right for us. Craig Brown phoned the club asking if he could play for Scotland.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah,
wow.
under 21s.
Wow.
But there's no way he looked under 21. You know what I mean? There's absolutely no chance. But Degsy, great lad. Also, so when we were full time that initial stage, like that YTS, every Tuesday was an absolute bleaching. So we would go up to Maybe Forest, or we'd come over here at Woodcock here, and we'd do that lap. So there was one day we were up Maybe Forest, and there was an orienteering class from one of the schools in Dumfries were there. Degsy being Degsy, after he started his running, had to do the toilet. It was a number 2. So he's managed to go and get one of the maps with the orienteering. He has wiped himself clean, folded the map back up, put it back in the pouch for somebody to find somewhere down the line.
Absolute classic.
And then obviously we've run off.
Dexy should have been in the team just for that. Amazing.
And loved the night out. Loved the night out in Dumfries.
The other one I was thinking, Stevie Mallon. I'm not saying I would replace any of them three, mine, but
it's a tough one.
It's a tough one because
I still love watching Stevie Mallon.
Yeah.
He was awesome, wasn't he?
Class player.
Just felt he was going to score all the time.
Potentially one of the hardest men I've ever met in my life.
Was he?
Oh, absolute. So, because you think like, George Rowe as well. George, it was that. To be fair, that was kind of that decision between George and Brian at that point. So George has his own company, has his own business, does modular train stations. Multi. Sponsored our both for a Megatech.
Yeah.
So Stevie worked for George,
right?
And George has lost his license at that spell, and Stevie was his chauffeur.
Was he?
Yeah.
Nice.
He should drive around, but as I said, one of the hardest men you've ever met. Absolute solid. Yeah. So Stevie was on it, would run all day, would score unbelievable goals.
Yep.
And like the shot at Glory's the perfect example. Scored for 35 yards and meant it. That was his intention. But he could have been frustrating as well, where he would probably miss one for 6 yards. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That was a brilliant player, but again, as you say, try to replace them three at the top end of the pitch. It's a
hard one, because then you've got Kennedy.
Yeah. And
you look at the stats that Kennedy's had over the years prior to me playing with him at Queen's. Like he was playing in the late 70s and scoring goals for Clydebank all the way through the 80s. You know what I mean? And then coming at the end of his career, came to Queen's and scored goals. You know what I mean?
Nah, brilliant team, Andy. Thanks for that. So that takes us nicely on to our higher or lower game, Peter. Yes. So, Andy, do you know how the higher lower game works? We've got.
Well, I'm waiting for somebody to shuffle the pack.
We'll get to that. We've got the questions first and foremost. We need to get one right anyway.
Well, that's a good point, to be fair.
We've got 30 seconds on the clock. Peter's got his whistle somewhere.
What whistle?
You've got a wee
the
whistle,
clock.
yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, I've got the whistle. It's your favourite colour, Andy. Green.
So just general football, Scottish football knowledge questions. If you don't know, just say pass. I'll move on to the next one. And I'm ready when Peter blows his whistle.
We do a wee practice one, don't we? So
You don't even know it.
I don't know the answers to these. Obviously, I'm
you
not going to
do.
know them. It's something to do with fitness. I'll struggle. Perfect water temperature.
37 degrees.
Right, you ready?
Ready when you are.
Game face on, Andra. No cum face, game face. 3, 2, 1.
Who currently sits bottom of the Scottish Premiership?
Hearts.
Name one of the 3 teams Scotland faced in the Euros this summer.
Oh, Germany.
Which nationality is St Johnstone's new manager?
Finnish.
True or false, Tannadice and Dens Park is less than 200 metres apart?
Sorry, say that again. I was
True or,
laughing at it
true or
finished.
false, Tannadice and Dens Park is less than 200 metres apart?
It's true.
Connor Salmon plays for which League One team?
Alloa.
The Diamonds is the nickname of which Scottish football team?
Airdrie.
Good.
He's no finished.
He's on 2. He's not finished. Is that what you're laughing at? As soon as I heard the giggle.
So how many did you get?
That
Pete?
was good.
How many
That must
did
have been a full winner.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got the first one wrong.
Hibs.
It was Hibs.
Hibs at bottom. Hibs at bottom. So you got Germany right for the second one.
Yep.
It could have been Switzerland or Hungary. Finland for Simone Vallicari. True, 183 metres apart there. So it is less than 200.
Which you got right.
Connor Salmon plays with Alloa. The Diamonds nickname's Airdrie. Yes, all correct.
That's good. So
going.
you have got the potential to double this to make it a 10.
10. So you
if
would go
get
top of the
5
table.
I've got
higher
5
and lower.
potentials.
You've got.
So if you can guess how many fingers I'm holding up here,
Let's say 1.
correct. Right. So
Do you want me to close my eyes?
we can change the card because it's not been changed since.
not been changed.
Jadden's
Right, let's
in.
change that card.
Change that card, Peter. Go on.
4
It's a
of
4.
hearts.
Let's go higher.
Right. So that was your starting card.
Yeah.
Right. So choice number 1, higher. 3 of hearts.
Unbelievable.
Oh,
Andy.
incredible.
You have absolutely shafted me.
How can it be my fault?
I guarantee you, you've shuffled that for. I guarantee it.
Amazing.
No.
Amazing.
Well,
So that's you done,
unbelievable.
Andy.
So I've got the highest general knowledge out of everybody, and then the first
And-
card's absolutely killed me.
Listen, Andy, this is the luck of the
Luck
draw.
of the draw. You're
You
sitting,
can't.
the bonus. No, the bonus is you've got 5.
You got 5. So
You've
you're
got
sitting
percentage,
mid-table.
So you've got 5. So you're
So if
mid-table.
you can look over here, which the camera unfortunately can't see, as a leaderboard here.
Yep.
You're sitting up
At the bottom.
second.
You're sitting mid-table, but we'll take 5, won't we? That's all right. It was a good
Done well.
general knowledge.
Yeah,
was
general
good.
knowledge was really
Luck
good,
of-
Andy.
Luck of the draw was.
Yeah, Pete
wasn't
shuffling it
great.
wrong.
So, yeah, thanks for that, Andy.
Well done, Andy.
Thanks so much for having us.
That was really
Quick-
good. No,
quick-
we're not finished yet.
We've got plenty
I apologise.
to go. Plenty to go.
We're only
Quick-
in our second hour.
Quick fire.
It's nearly Thursday.
Quick fire questions, Andy. Right. What's the best stadium you've played at and why?
Hampden, because of the experience of playing in the semi-final and the final to a full house. But on the flip side of that, it's probably also the worst because of the fact having that experience and then playing against Queen's Park and having 250 people
Yep.
in the stadium.
It's a strange one, isn't it?
Nice.
Yeah, very strange.
Question 2. Who's the best player you've played with or against?
It's a difficult one, to be fair. For different reasons, I'll probably go with Jimmy because of the experiences that we've shared together and the help that he gave me over the years.
Good.
So, yeah. And you forget, people have a laugh and a joke about Jimmy, but you forget how good a centre half he actually was.
Oh,
And,
he was brilliant.
He was unbelievable.
Really good.
Had the opportunity, I think he went to Hibs on trial a couple of times, just didn't work out for him for whatever reason. Yeah, so yep, I'll say JT.
Good. Number 3. What's been the most enjoyable part of your career? So this could be club that looked after you, team spirit, dressing room, whenever.
Yeah, I'll go back to the Queen of the South team, 2001, 2002, and I know you can argue the fact that Scottish Cup run as well. For me, that spell, everybody was all like pulling in the same direction.
Mm-hmm.
Good lads. The club that was looking after us very well. The only thing that we had to worry about was turning up and training or turning up and playing. Like the professionalism that we had then, run by the club, would put most clubs to shame now. And that was 20 years ago. Yeah, absolutely.
Really looked after you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was probably, they were, I'm not saying ahead of the time, but like in terms of the coaching staff, we had obviously John Connolly, the manager, but Ian Scott, Warren Pearson, Kenny Crichton.
And who imposed these sort of things?
Probably,
the club or
yeah,
the
no,
manager?
it's probably the coaching staff. We were all very well looked after. Warren had his own company, looked after us very well for some things as well. But Kenny was a great lad.
Warren Hawk. Who
What?
did you say? Warren?
Pearson.
Oh, sorry.
Did I say Hawk?
No. I just presumed because I was
Warren
going to say
Pearson.
Lewis. Obviously,
So they came over from the northeast with John.
Right, got you.
Aye, very good. Kenny looked after. The coaching was very good. Sessions were very good, but they obviously looked after us as well. And so Kenny Crichton was a part of that. Just everything at that point. But you've got to remember we were part time. Won that league, got into the championship, won the Challenge Cup. We were top of the championship. A part of that season being part time, that probably tells its own story. You know what I mean? I would take that team part time against anybody nowadays.
Yeah.
In the lower leagues.
Good. Number 4, hardest opponent you've played against and why?
It's a difficult one because you can talk about quality and you can talk about strikers that you've played against. For me,
The best battle, the hardest.
Ian Harty, Mickey Moore at Stranraer, remember?
Yep.
Mickey got a move to St Johnstone, but see, playing against them two, they were completely different under that same kind of Sean O'Connor or Stephen Dobie type thing. Ian, like Mickey it would be a battle, and you knew you were in for a battle for the whole game. But Ian would not stop running for the whole game, and he had real quality. And like you seen that when he came to us that 2010 season, he was Player of the Year that year. Is that right? Yep, scored goals for us, and that was you always knew that you were going to have a battle,
Hard game.
whether it's Mickey's physicality or Ian's quality, but also his ability to just harry you the whole game. His work rate was incredible. So yeah, that's what I'm.
Good.
Nice.
Good. Number 5, and lastly, tell us something we don't know about yourself, Andy.
Well, sitting with a family last night, trying to decide because there's lots of different things. I love my golf.
Yep.
I love drawing 3D cubes. Long story.
You love drawing.
3D cubes.
Right.
So, love the chase.
The chase on the telly.
Chase. Love the chase on the telly. That's not. So what I've went with is the emergency planning job. A lot of people won't know. Ultimately, they won't know that I worked with your dad for 5-6 years. Pete was my boy for a long period of that. Took him under my wing, taught him everything he knows. That's why he's done so well. For me, worked in emergency planning. A lot of people won't know about emergency planning. Got to write plans for major emergencies. Look at it. It was a very short term, but it's one of those that nobody really thinks about it. It's probably one of my biggest regrets about when I was at Gretna was leaving that job because I could see myself developing in that role. But yeah, it's just got to work in the nuclear bunker under the council building.
Was it on that side of it? Is that right?
Yeah, so it's underground. It's the nuclear bunker under the. We actually done a bit of work there where your dad put some ventilation in, and 18 months later, I'd got a job in there. So yeah, got to write emergency plans. So I'm not saying it's still the case, but I got to write a couple of like medical plans for the region. I know you're looking at me like that blank, like I've got no clue.
No. It's
clue.
just
For
no clue. For medical emergencies,
COVID, etc.
Something like that.
Yep.
I would have
major incidents.
Yeah. So
nice.
something nobody really knows.
Yeah.
No.
Nice.
So, good to know. Just a normal guy.
You know. Oh, man of the people.
Thanks for that, Andy. That takes us nicely on to Peter's fans' questions that they sent in.
Talking about the people.
The
viewers, the listeners. This is the things. This is from them.
This is what they want to know
This
about.
is what they want to know. So, Alex from Dumfries, your hometown, Andy. Did you think it was a foul when you slipped on your arse at the side of the road while working in that viral video when you were working on duty?
It's of all the things I've done, that's the one thing that keeps getting mentioned. And it's
great video, isn't it?
5 years ago though.
Is it?
5 years. I re-released the video a couple of weeks ago for the anniversary, and I'll do that in 5 years' time as well because everybody loves it.
It must have had some amount of hits.
It's over 200,000.
It was a good video.
Oh, it's a good video. But so I'll explain. So what you don't see is it was absolutely pissing down. What you don't see is the car that we've removed from lane 3, the young family that were in the car, we've got them to safety. Nobody sees that. All right. All they see is me walking on the other side of that barrier, right? And then as I go to lift my left leg, my right leg slips because it's very wet underground, and I slip over the barrier. Okay. Now what you don't see is that my colleague that I was working with that day, Tam, he comes sprinting down the side, and to see initially if I'm all right, and then realises that we've got dash cam and he's absolutely pissing himself because he knows he's got me. and then it gets
You
released.
take it well, though, in fairness.
But
What are you meant to do?
what are you supposed to do?
Exactly.
If you can't laugh at yourself,
Exactly.
you know what I
That's
mean?
what it's all about, though, isn't it?
Absolutely, and people have enjoyed it. And it's one thing that it's probably the gift that keeps on giving. You know what I mean? So thanks for that, Alex.
Great, Alex.
So, Val from TikTok. Does your wife prefer the Andy with hair or shaved head Andy? Because I know a lot of the ladies love the old bald look. Ken, right side
It's one of those, the
Fred.
pictures that you've graciously shared like on your social
A lot
media
of them with hair. Yep.
It surprised a lot of people at work because obviously I've been shaving since I've joined, and I've kept it that way. But I can assure you, Kerry will absolutely prefer me with hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's the man she married.
yeah. Probably it was just a little bit thick. It was like your barnet back in the day.
Was it?
You've done well to keep hold of that.
Thick as that?
Yeah.
That's very thick.
It is, isn't it?
So I had really thick hair, and then over the years it's just thinned away to nothing.
Thanks. Who was
Thanks,
that,
Val.
Val?
Yep.
Thanks.
So, Davey from Annan. Favourite Queen's top you played in?
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, that is a good question. I'm going to say probably that one there, the positive response one. It was a slightly better fit.
What was the neck on that?
It was a slight V-neck, was it not?
Oh, long sleeved.
I
White sleeve.
never wore long sleeved. Never.
Short sleeved white.
I was
though.
always short sleeved.
Who's that? Fila? Was that?
Is it
Fila used
Fila?
was sponsored by Fila for a while.
Was it Fila?
Looks a bit like Fila, yeah.
We'll say yes.
Yeah.
It is Fila.
Yeah.
So that one. Now you remember the semi-final. We'd obviously got that year. In fact, we'll go back. That year, Challenge Cup. They produced obviously a special strip for it, but it was all long sleeved, and I didn't play in long sleeves, regardless of the weather. So I actually cut the sleeves off.
Ah, right. Okay.
For that game. And then the Scottish Cup semi-final was probably the biggest strip I've ever worn in my life. It was massive.
Parachute.
Aye, huge. And you try to tuck it in, and it comes down here. So you're like, massive.
And the
And just-
big occasion, they give you a shite shirt.
A shit shirt. And it was, as I said, it was fucking huge. Like, so obviously it was a large, but it was fucking massive. Like, wee Burnsy.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Aye.
Well,
I can remember, and I did have. I'll be honest, I did have a Queen's strip. It was the Pizzeria Il Fume one.
Oh, yeah.
My dad got us it. I had to wear it when I was a bad boy.
wore
But
it every
the
day.
shorts were huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive. Like
And I
basketball player shorts.
We had, I think at one point we probably had Nike at one point as well, but it wasn't great. But they had the best shorts. I've still got those shorts now. They're massive long shorts over the knee. Loved them. The training kit was great.
That was a good question.
That's
So lastly,
completely different though.
that was a good question.
good question. And this is Josh from Facebook. Favourite manager you've played under?
Probably it's a difficult one because there's different managers for different things. Like Ian McCall as a man manager and as a motivator was very good. Not even Ian Scott, John Connolly, definitely is one of those. It was one that you didn't actually see him on the training pitch at times. He would be in the office, whereas Scotty and Warren would take that. And then Gordon Chisholm would take all of training, and his sessions were very, very good. Probably learned more under him as in that 18 months, 2 years, than I did probably anywhere else. It's difficult, and I probably couldn't give you an answer because it's different managers for different reasons.
I'm going to press you for an answer, Andy.
All right, Peter, thanks very much thanks for that.
Can't let Josh from Facebook down.
Sorry, Josh, I'll give you an answer, Josh. Probably Ian McCall, if that's the case, just for bringing me back to Queen's, and as I said, his man management was very good.
I have a question for you off the back of that.
Go ahead.
And I don't know if it's true, but I'm pretty sure it was a story you told me. You were playing, and it was Rowan Alexander. And did you volley the ball into the dugout? Did you ever do that, or did I make this up in my head?
I think you made during the game.
During the game,
Oh, I would never have done that.
did you not?
No,
I thought you did. In my head, what happened in my dream, right? I thought the story was that you were obviously you maybe young or whatever, and Rowan was geeing you a bit on the side, and you turned around and not intentionally, but you went to hook it out, and it aimed for the
I would
dugout.
never have done it intentionally.
No.
He's
not
not a
intentional.
disrespectful person.
No, I know he's not.
No.
But I just think
but
Andy's got that point where he can snap, can't he?
You haven't seen me angry.
So is that not true?
Nah.
So you're a
I would
liar.
never- You made that up. You made
It's
that
one of
up.
my dreams about you. Fantasies. Oh, well, that was that then.
That's that. Thanks again for all the questions you send in
Yes.
to us, keep them coming in, and we'll keep firing them to all our guests in the future as well.
Really good.
Good though. Yeah, so it's just what's coming up in and around Anne Athletic this weekend. Obviously we've got the first team game Saturday 26th October.
One
Anne
we're
and
looking forward to, isn't it?
ones
Massively.
yous are looking forward
Absolutely.
to. Yeah.
Andy being a Dumfries boy, obviously, and
Yep.
no Anna.
Queen of the South Legend.
Annan v Queens.
Don't interrupt him. He's in the zone. Sorry.
Wait a minute, you can see his media training coming in. What I will say is,
the game's on because you keep talking.
what I will say, Cammy, you can tell when your media voice comes out.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Olivia
Thanks.
has noticed this as well.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she said you
So
can
it's
tell
a
the
real
difference.
turn on.
No, quite the opposite. You can see at the start the media voice comes out as it continues on, whereas Pete, you're a little bit more natural.
Pete just
Illiterate, some would say.
Pete's made up a few stories that haven't happened. I think that's the fourth one in this episode. No, so Annan Athletic v Queen of the South, Saturday 26th October, 5:30 kick-off, Gala Bank. Get yourselves up there because it should be an absolute cracker. We'll talk about that before we wrap up. Youth games Saturday 26th October. We've got the 2016s away to Heston Festival at Maryfield, 10 a.m. We had another one as well coming late, Pete. What was that? 2000 and...
That was the 16s, I think.
Was it the 16s,
Yeah,
was it?
Yeah,
Right,
Tommy
okay.
Glendinnin's
2016s.
and Bear in that.
Yep,
Yeah, that's
yep.
the age group.
So that's fine. Sunday we've got the 27th. We've got 2015s. We've got a mini festival at Gala Bank, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and the under 17s are at home to Freve Rovers with a 2 o'clock kick-off on Sunday. Girls football this weekend. The under 14s are away to Larkhall at 9:30 kick-off.
They're back in action.
Back in action. That's a early one for them. 9:30
Yeah,
up at Larkhall. Good luck to them.
I was
And
at the Langham game. I came up and watched the Langham
Yeah,
game.
it was great.
It was.
Yep.
It was very well turned out as well, and it just goes to show you the support that the girls have got in the town. Because it was said to be maybe 150, 200 people at that game.
That's
It was incredible. No,
Yep, really good.
They're flying.
So good luck to them. Ladies, Sunday 27th, Annan are away to Dalbeattie Star, 2:30 kick-off. So everyone get behind the youths, the girls, the men's, the ladies teams. Get behind them this weekend, and good luck to everyone from the Black and Gold podcast. Well, that's us coming towards an end, but I think we've got an exchanging of
Of the gifts.
yes.
Did you bring us something, Andy?
I did.
Oh,
That
nice.
was a
Random, actually.
prerequisite of
It
getting
wasn't
onto the...
Was it? You asked me, not the other way about. I didn't ask them. Come on.
What's
So
this?
basically, what I've got is
Oh.
Cup final. Under Armour very kindly produced a one-off for all of us to wear under the strip.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, don't worry, other sport brands are available.
What size is that?
Large, so no
Okay.
good for you.
So it's a wee bit snug for you.
No, it is. Wasn't at the time. So yeah, so that's what. So they provided us with all our base layers for the cup final.
Wow.
It's obviously been printed off there. So yeah, just something completely different.
Thank you very much. That's
Fantastic.
great.
Yeah,
Andy.
Cammy, you get a wee... Pass the pass the
You can
pen.
Look at that. That's
Oh,
nicely
is it
embroidered
being
at
washed?
front.
You'll take.
And this is our black and gold pendant that we pass
Fantastic,
over for
that.
coming on.
Thank you
Andy.
very much. Thanks
Thank
for
you
having
very
me.
much. Thank you.
Andy, that's a very personal gift.
That's really nice.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I don't know what you were expecting.
No.
Yeah.
But I thought we were just a Queen's top or something. But that's
To be fair,
really
over the years,
personal.
probably give like, for charity or whatever the stuff does go. You probably don't end up with a huge amount of stuff left. And
Yeah.
I thought it's a good one to have because, as I said, it's completely different. And if
Unique, innit?
Very
Yeah,
unique
absolutely.
guy.
I don't know
So
how it
all
came
of them-
around. I don't
well,
know.
like I
It's
say,
only worn once. Well, yeah,
So what?
one once.
25 of them made ever or something like that.
ever.
Mm.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Great.
So whilst I was in the loft yesterday looking for that top,
Yep.
because that's where all my stuff goes, I actually found one of the programmes from our time at Anne Athletic together, Pete.
Yes.
It's 14-year anniversary today,
Wow.
23rd
On the
of
day.
October. On the day. Yeah, 23rd of October 2010.
Preston Athletic Football Club.
Yeah. Scottish Cup.
Wow.
Both of yous in that.
Pete probably on the bench, to be fair.
No,
I don't know if you played, Pete, to be fair. Right back. What's you? What does it say about you?
Let's the gaffer's. What is this? Oh, this is the away one.
Yeah, we were there.
Sorry.
You were away, yeah, this up there.
I
I'm
was
sure
wondering
that's
why
the
it was
game.
there.
I think it was.
Do you want to hear the squad?
Squad list. Go on, give us a
So
squad list from
local.
that day.
Johnny Jameson, Greg Kelly, Craig Summersgill, Andy Aitken, Jordan Halsman, John Macbeth, Aaron Muirhead, Kevin Nielsen, Jack Steele, Pat Walker, wee
Oh.
Patch, myself, Gilly, Mike Jack, Chris Jardine, Lewis Sloan, Stephen Sloan, Graham Bell, Davy Cox, Brian Felvis, and Ian Harty. Sorry, Brian Gilfillan for Gilly in case nobody knows.
Yep.
And Ian Harty, sorry. Aye, good squad, very local.
Absolutely.
Local boys,
Yep.
yeah.
And like, even like so that nowadays, I think you'd probably take some of them boys.
Yeah.
At that time, if they were still playing them.
So we getting to keep that, Andy? Gift for us?
No.
No?
That's
Okay,
a good
take it
one.
back.
What's
You
this
can have
other one you've got?
It was just a home one from back in the day, and it was that same season. Probably that same season, probably the end of that season. It was just to see, what does it say about Pete Watson? Pete Watson,
Go on then. Give us it.
local lad in second spell at the club after returning from Albion Rovers. That's it.
That's it.
Continue.
That's enough, really, is it not?
So what more do you need?
Let's see it. Let's see who we're playing.
Look at
Great.
that. That's Berwick Rangers.
That's a good one, that.
Enjoying that.
I am, mate. Look at this. There's photos in the back. Oh, Andy, the pages are stuck together. There's photos of me in there. Fantastic. The old grass park. Brilliant.
Remember the terracing down the left hand side? Had to watch what you were doing because
Brilliant.
you got fucking thrown into the
Aye.
terracing,
Into the barriers.
into the barriers.
A few boys lost a few teeth in there, didn't they? They did, though, didn't they? There was a wee shoulder badge and you were into
Yeah,
them.
that's it. Head first.
Can you beat it?
Have you enjoyed that, Cammy?
Been great, Peter. Loads of stories and memories again from our era, watching Queens when Andy was playing. I can mind Andy actually taking me to training when I was a young
Just
kid.
to say
Yeah.
that, like I remember your mum and dad living up by us.
Yeah.
And Sean, you as a very small baby, Sean
Yeah.
obviously a toddler, and then me with a ball against that wall beside the house because you
Aye.
stayed. Not Turnbury, you stayed at the top of there at the car
Turnbury,
park.
aye.
Turnbury.
Yep.
That house had the wall down the side. I would be battering a ball off that wall.
Well,
I
at least
can-
they would have got plenty of sleep because you wouldn't have hit the wall, did you?
Probably got chased off by your dad. And then
I missed again.
picking you up, you stayed on Queensway.
Yeah.
to get in for training.
And I think you had a Rover, did you not?
The wee Rover
You always had a
214.
rover.
Rover 214 SLI.
Yeah.
No, I can mind getting picked up and going and training with the goalies and stuff. So it's been great. It's been great. You enjoyed it?
Excellent, aye. Like I say,
We know, yeah.
I knew a lot of the story. Again, but we say this about Jardis and even Aaron's and stuff. You know the story, but it's nice to hear the intricate parts that you
don't know.
You don't know,
Yeah.
and like we've no real reason to bring certain wee bits up. But it's nice to hear. It's great to hear like the build up to the Scottish Cup final, and obviously, your partnerships with Jimmy and another lad. So it's great. It's great, and it's obviously it's lovely for the viewers and the listeners to find out because everyone knows. They see you walking the dog every day.
Yeah.
You're in and out. You're I say well Kent face,
Yes,
Aaron,
well.
but it's true. It's nice to hear the actual story behind the career
Yeah.
of Andy Aitken. So aye,
You enjoyed
definitely.
it, Andy?
Aye, it's one of those that you've been out of the game for that long, and you get to reminisce about the stories, and like obviously got the text message for Pete in terms of this. These are the things we're going to want from you, and like it's just having that thought back over the years and the different stories that you
Brings
have.
a lot of good
different,
ones
aye,
up.
absolutely. It's the same though for me. There will always be more good than bad stories. To be fair, good experiences almost. As I was saying, like going through all, and I've been fortunate. You'll know what I was like as a player. I probably wasn't technically the best, but disciplined, hardworking, could run all day. You know what I mean?
Have you read some of the comments of the stuff of the reels that we
What's
put
that?
on, saying like
Bald.
that did get mentioned. It was, who's the guy with hair in these pictures? But it was saying like a man that would actually put his head where you wouldn't put your feet.
Yep.
One of the nicest guys around, one of the nicest guys in football, Dave Masters wrote.
What's he put?
Every cat's eye from Dumfries to Largs or something.
Bus driver extraordinaire.
But Ken, so it's nice to hear that. Obviously, from your point of view, from our point of view, being your pal and stuff. So it's great that that people are looking forward to it.
Acquaintance. There's a difference. But in all honesty, coming through the youth or into the south, nobody would ever thought you would go and win a couple of medals at Queen's and go and play in Scottish Cup and play in the UEFA Cup.
Yep.
Nobody would have.
Even the league winners medal.
Yeah.
Ken, that's
hard to come
locally.
by.
That is.
Hard to come
There's
by.
better players than me that haven't had that experience, haven't won leagues, haven't played.
I've won anything.
Won
Some
anything.
people don't win anything.
And much better players than I ever was. You know what I mean? As I said, I can appreciate everything that I've had and don't take it for granted. I definitely don't. So no, This has been lovely, boys.
No, good.
And it's 3 favourite sons all together again.
Reunited, Andy, reunited. No, thanks a lot to Andy for being our guest today, and good luck for the rest of the season with Annan. A big thanks from me and Pete to you, the viewers and listeners, for supporting Black and Gold, and until the next time, see you then.